podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network's 200 stations coast to coast on Sunday, September 11th, 2022. This is episode 1926. This episode of the Tech Guy is brought to you by CacheFly. Deliver your video on the network with the best throughput and global reach, making your content infinitely scalable. Go live in hours, not days. Learn more at cachefly.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Time to talk high tech. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Yes, the matter of the hour: computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo is my phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call, but you'll have to use Skype out. Or I guess we had a call yesterday from Portugal over Google Voice. You could use that too. Anything to let you call a landline. And since the landline is toll-free, should be free to call. Website, techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. That's where you'll find all the links that I mentioned. Transcript of the show, audio and video of the show, too, after the fact. Techguylabs.com. So, Apple had an event. Did you notice? It's interesting. These used to be. I used to call them the Christmas for Apple fans. The annual Apple holiday, the big iPhone event in September. It is a bit. I mean, I guess it's not as big as it used to be, right? I mean, it was big when every year Apple would say something that would blow your mind. Or maybe my mind's just been blown so many times I no longer feel it. Nothing particularly mind-boggling this year. There is a new, very different-looking Apple Watch, the Ultra, which is aimed at extreme athletes. And I think they clearly talked to extreme athletes, and then maybe even more importantly, looked at Garmin, which is the leader in this category, the expensive $1,000 extreme athlete watch for runners, for divers, for mountain climbers. And they made a watch that I think competes head-to-head directly against the high-end Garmin for a little less, $800. It's big, but it's titanium. It's going to be rugged, I think. It's got, unlike the current Apple Watch, a flat glass, or sapphire, I guess, flat sapphire face that is then slightly protected by a titanium lip around it. I don't know. We'll see. Most of the people who buy it are not going to be extreme athletes. Like me, I bought it. It's my job. I got to look at it. But I also, like an extreme athlete, got the special band that will stretch over your wetsuit. Because who knows? Someday I may wear a wetsuit. I don't know. I'll have that on the 23rd. I'll have the new iPhone next Friday, so I'll be able to talk next Saturday about it. Biggest difference on the iPhone, which is kind of, I think, cool. In order to put front-facing cameras on these phones and to get the phones to have the biggest possible screen, there's two ways to put a camera on the front of a phone. One is to have a lip or a chin or I guess you'd call it a forehead right above it, which is all black, which is, the screen doesn't go past this point, and there's a little bit of a quarter of an inch or less, 1/8 of an inch where the camera will go. But then that means the screen is smaller, and so lately most manufacturers, including Google and Samsung and Apple, have tried to cut into the screen. Apple up to now has been doing a notch. But the high-end iPhones this year will not have a notch. They will have a hole cut out, actually two, a lozenge and a hole next to each other. But Apple's taken this, regrettably unfortunate thing that they have to do and every manufacturer has to do to give you a front-facing camera. And they've decided to make I think this is actually, it's at the very least brilliant marketing, if not brilliant engineering, make a feature out of it. So they have something called the dynamic island. They make the whole area of the screen black, not just where the cutouts are, but everything in between. And it will expand to accommodate more. So if you've got music, it's like a permanent widget on your screen. If you've got music playing, that dynamic island will get a little bit bigger and show you what's playing and maybe even a control of that. It'll show you the weather up there. So all sorts of stuff. And I'm happy to say this, Apple has said developers can use it too in their apps. So you may be in an app and that admittedly ugly hole will at least have something going on with it. We'll see when we get the phone how great that is. iOS 16, if you are an Apple user, will come out tomorrow. So be prepared for that. I saw a British bank, I think a bank that is used by very fancy people, Coutts Bank. I think the British Royals use a private banking and wealth management. Coutts Bank put out a warning to people, don't upgrade. Please, if you have an iPhone and you use our Coutts application, do not update your iPhone. It will break the application. Coutts, you make some money. You make some money. You could perhaps invest in an app that doesn't break when the new iOS comes out. Chairman Lord Waldegrave says, "Don't please, if you can possibly avoid it, do not upgrade. Everybody else, you should upgrade." Yes, I think so. Everybody else should upgrade. Speaking of Coutts Bank and the UK, our condolences from your former colonies over the passing of your monarch, and congratulations on King Charles III. This is also a very solemn day in the U.S., of course, September 11th. And while I won't, because it's just not done on radio, do a moment of silence, I think we can all think back, those of us who were alive then, to September 11th, 2001, and that dark day in our history. And thanks to the first responders, eternal thanks to the first responders there and evermore for running toward danger when all of us are running away. It's an incredibly emotional experience going to the 9/11 memorial in New York City. That itself is incredibly emotional. It's a beautiful memorial. But then going into the museum, which is underground, where, the Twin Towers were, and one of the first things you're confronted with is a fire truck, FDNY truck that's mostly melted, because that was the truck that immediately rushed to the rescue. And those first responders who passed, of course, who gave their all for that, are heroes. And it is a beautiful museum. If you're ever in Manhattan, if you ever get a chance to see that, highly recommend it. But bring a hanky. Bring a hanky. It's also the 45th anniversary today of something that, for me, is important. It started my interest in technology. Whatever could it be, Leo? Whatever could it be? Well, 1 year before, I had gotten into radio, college radio. I got my FCC third-class license, so I was already a radio broadcaster. So it wasn't radio. But on this day in 1977, the Atari 2600 game machine came out. I have a little miniature version of it, which looks just like it with a little joystick. And that was the first, I think that you can call that a computer. The first computer I got it because I had spent so much money, so many quarters playing games in the Chuck E. Cheese arcade. I thought, well, golly, if I put all those quarters together, I could afford to get an Atari 2600 and no quarters. Games weren't as good either. But I soon realized this isn't it. So I got an Atari 400 computer. Soon realized that wasn't quite it. So I got an Atari 800 computer. And the rest is history. So roughly the same time I got into radio, I got into technology. In order to support my habit, started to write. You can't afford this stuff, right? So I started to write for computer magazines. In fact, the first thing I wrote, I think, was so I could get a disk drive for my Atari 800 computer. So I don't know. For me, this is a memorable date as well. All right, we are going to go take some phone calls. What do you say? Let's talk tech. Questions are fine. comments, suggestions, ideas, thoughts. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. I would very much like to hear from you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Hello, Leo.
I see you in front of an Equinox.
That is the Equinox EV coming just about a year from now.
Look, I saw the ad for it yesterday. It looked pretty good. Or Thursday on the football game.
What is this thing you call an ad?
Ads.
I don't see those on TV.
If you watch football, you're stuck. I'm sorry. You got to watch ads. They go hand in hand. I wish they didn't. Actually, you know what they do? In fact, so football season began Thursday, and Amazon, starting next week, will stream these. But I was very pleased to see it back, not only because I enjoy watching NFL, but because the ads, I think, are a cut above on football. I think they realize these guys are going to go get a sandwich if you don't catch them. So they really work hard on those ads. Even not just the Super Bowl, but even on just everyday NFL games. So how are things in Ypsilanti?
What's that?
How are things in Ypsilanti?
Good. We're expecting some more rain later this afternoon.
Nice.
And it's about mid-70s right now.
Very nice.
I'm actually flying out to San Francisco tomorrow morning.
Oh, good. What are you doing?
I'll be out. I've got some meetings with a few companies, and Cruise is doing an event on Tuesday evening. They're doing an open house at their headquarters, and going to get a ride in one of their vehicles, and hopefully getting a couple of other rides and a couple of other autonomous vehicles over the next couple of days. So.
Yeah, we were in San Francisco on Wednesday for Motley Crue, and
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and while waiting for our car, after the next morning, we saw about 3 Waymos go by. They all had safety drivers, and I was really looking for a Cruise because I guess they don't use safety drivers in San Francisco.
Well, they have safety drivers. In some parts of the city, so they do some of their testing they do without safety drivers, some they do with safety drivers.
Right.
The service, the robo-taxi service they're offering right now, the driverless service is only at night, so from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And only in the western and northern part of the city.
Yeah, the avenues where it's very geometric.
Where there's very little
traffic.
traffic.
There's no traffic, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. The northern part isn't quite as good. That's more like the piers and stuff. But okay, all right.
Yeah, not quite right up to the northern, like the coast.
Saw a lot of Waymos.
Yeah.
A lot of Waymos.
Yeah,
and
I did.
Man, they're funny looking, man. They're crazy.
The I-Paces, the Jaguar I-Paces.
Yeah, they have all those. They have so many devices hanging off them.
Yeah, lots of LiDARs, lots of radars, lots of cameras. I think they have at least 5 LiDARs, possibly more than that, and a whole bunch of radars.
Yeah, there was
infrared
something
sensors.
Off the just off the right headlight, big old box. I guess that was another LiDAR.
That's a radar sensor.
Radar, okay.
Yeah,
because there's of course a spinning LiDAR on the roof. Yep. Which makes them look like the Ghostbusters car.
And then they've got smaller short-range LiDARs around the perimeter, on the fenders and on the front and rear bumpers.
Interesting.
And then there's radar sensors. So there's a whole slew of them. And same thing on the Cruise vehicles and Zooks and everybody else. Everybody that's actually, trying to do a competent job at this.
We will talk in 15. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Astrid Gilberto. Buzz, the phone is ringing. And when you answer the phone, it will be this person
Totally
right here.
wrong person, but
Buzz,
I feel
Buzz,
like I should be wearing a
Buzz,
basket
Buzz.
of fruit on my head.
I love her. I love Gilberto. How are you, Kim Schaffer, phone angel? I love you too.
I love you too.
If you sang, then it would be all over.
Oh, I will never sing. You do not need to hear that.
You got here early. You've been slaving over a hot phone to prepare our callers. Who should I start the show with?
Oh, let's go to Ben in Louisville. Louisville.
Nice. Are you practicing?
Yeah.
Just Louisville. Louisville.
And it's Apple Week, so of course
Louisville.
it's going to be an Apple.
2 syllables. Louisville.
Louisville.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Ben, Leo, the tech guy. Welcome.
How are you doing, Leo?
I am great. How are you?
Kind of concerned about my iPhone 12, my friend.
Okay, I'm sitting in front of an iPhone 12 myself. Did not upgrade last year.
Yeah, mine's the Pro, and I got to tell you, it's been all right, but I'm kind of intrigued by what Apple announced this past week, and I don't know if it's worth or not upgrading to the 14 Pro from what I have, because I've had it for 2 years or so, probably, and when my dad and I bought it, we bought it with the, I was on a Pixel 4a before this 12 Pro, and I love my 12 Pro, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, I was hella intrigued by the new phone.
Hella intrigued. Now we're talking. Forget the reality distortion field. I'm hella intrigued.
Yes.
I am complete now. I have a Pixel 6, so I'm used to Android. I also have a Samsung S22, and I use all three. So I'm familiar with the ecosystem. I like the iPhone 12. My basic thought on the 14 is not enough of an upgrade. I'm going to buy it because I need to review it, but it's not enough of an upgrade for most iPhone 12 users, I would say. But maybe I'm wrong. What is it that intrigues you?
Well, I got to be honest. The way the phone that I have now does notifications, and I have to say that iOS 16 on it is a little. Because you see, I'm running the.
You're ahead of me because I haven't tried iOS 16 because you're using the public beta, obviously.
Man, it's really. My experience so far has been a little wonky.
Is it slow? Is it sluggish, or just not reliable?
It's not reliable. I mean, my battery drains like mad.
Yeah.
And, I do have a dev account, but, it's like...
But you're staying up to date. You've got the most recent developers update,
yes,
right?
I got the most recent build, the whole shebang.
That's almost certainly the same as the one that they'll put out tomorrow, so...
Yes, it's almost the same as the one they're releasing tomorrow sometime. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I don't know if there's something up with my phone or what, but when I checked the battery health on it, it said it's 88% complete.
Yeah, and, which is about right for a 2-year-old phone. That's pretty good. Yeah,
and I don't know if that's something that could cause it or what.
Well, let me look at my battery. I'm going to go look at battery health on my phone. Yeah, I'm also 88%.
So I don't know if that's normal.
So that's normal for a 2-year-old iPhone, apparently. That's normal because mine's exactly the same. Do you run out of battery before the end of the day?
Pretit much, yes.
So that's obviously not optimal. That's not optimal.
It's probably not optimal, no. No, I have thought about doing something like taking it into the store and getting a replacement, but with this new phone being released soon, I'm like, I might as well just upgrade.
Are you a developer? Do you develop for iOS? Or you just have the account?
No, I just test the new software.
Yeah,
that's all I do.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's a perfect justification,
Yeah, sure. If you're looking for a justification, if you're looking for the Leo seal of approval, let me get my stamp out here. Good. Approved. Purchase approved. You can tell your wife. Purchase approved.
Exactly. Well,
I think every other year is not unreasonable. Here's what will be noticeably different and you're going to get, I presume, the Pro or the Pro Max.
The Pro, probably, because I don't want to go overloaded. My dad's credit card.
So the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Plus do not have the dynamic island. They still have the notch that you and I have on our 12.
I know.
But the dynamic island, I think, is a very interesting user interface. That might be a reason to try the iPhone 14 Pro. The camera, I think, it's hard to say. Apple is so good at marketing. And my head is still floating around in the...
I do a lot of pictures sometimes, and I do also film concerts with the video option.
Well, the new video is, this is a funny thing. The big new feature of the video is not 4K, 60 frames or 120 frames. It's 4K 24 frames because that's the film frame rate. And so maybe if you wanted a dreamy concert video, you might actually a filmic look might be better for you. It wouldn't be good for action, sports, that kind of thing, lower frame rate.
Well, I'm not really a big sports fanatic, personal.
It's a weird thing for Apple to tout. Oh, now we can shoot 24 frames per second. That's lower, not higher.
Also, I do film sometimes with my phone, some tech tutorials, things like that on YouTube.
Nice.
So,
okay. Yeah, I think here's the biggest camera improvement is 48 megapixels and the availability of Pro RAW, which is Apple's way of saying we're going to give you, if you want. Most of the time, what you'll get is a 12 megapixel image. They'll take the 48 pixels on the sensor and do something they call bin them, combine them to give you a very good quality, very good low light. And for concert photos, believe it or not, low light is important because, as you know, even though they've got those bright lights, they're not. It's low light photography. So I think you're going to see a much improved, even with a 12 megapixel binning. They've got a aperture that's wider, and they have a new 2x mode as well for the telephoto. I think all in all, that might make a big difference if that's the thing that you're most interested in.
I have taken some video and stuff on my 12 Pro. And I am just not really too pleased with it. So I think it would make sense in my regard, at least, to upgrade.
This is one of the problems Apple has with being so good at marketing. When you actually get the phone, you go, oh, well, okay, it's nice. It's not going to change the world like Apple implies. And I think that's potentially... the risk with getting this iPhone 14. I think in general, my advice is always, you certainly don't need to upgrade if your phone's only a year old. 2 years old, then it's your call. If it's 3 or more, then you will want it. So you're right. You're right in the cusp. You are using iOS 16. You say I don't like it. It's not fast enough. Battery life's bad. For sure, they've actually claimed an extra hour of battery life on the iPhone Pro. So. For sure, that will improve. Plus, it'll be 100% instead of 88%.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're looking for the seal of approval, you got it. And I'll tell you what, Ben, I'll have it next Saturday. We can talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sam Abuelsamid, car guy, next. I give you permission to upgrade. I gave you some reasons too, right? Gave you some reasons to upgrade. I have not tried iOS 16 yet, so I don't know. I don't know what it's, how demanding it is and everything. There's not a lot of new features, to be honest with you. Once you cut through all the hype, and Apple's the king of hype. But I think since you do concert video, that's a good reason, I think, to get the new camera.
Yeah. Can I ask you one more thing about this, Leo?
Sure.
Well, I also went to T-Mobile last night and compared it to the Apple price, and Apple said I could get $669 or something back on it, and then I also, but I still had to pay the $10.99 or whatever it was towards this.
Right.
And so I went to T-Mobile and on their chat, and they said I could get $1,000 back from them, which is almost covering the whole cost of the dollar.
Go for it.
So it's like, my word.
Go for it. I mean, the fine print will be, and you have to stay our customer for the next 2 years.
Well, I mean, we have good coverage in Louisville.
Yeah, if you're happy. I've been on T-Mobile for a decade or more. Especially now with the new 5G. T-Mobile has been, I think, done a very good job of rolling out what they call the mid-band 5G. So on your T-Mobile phone, I think it says 5G UC. If you're seeing that around, that's really fast.
Yeah, it's so that's kind of why I want to go buy it through T-Mobile because
you could get it. I don't know. You should try this at the Apple Store. I think if you say it's for T-Mobile, wouldn't you get the same discount or maybe not? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but
I always buy it unlocked. And by the way, that's another big one. And I should have mentioned this. That could be a deal breaker for some. No SIM tray. So if you travel and you're one of those people that buys a SIM in country, that's going to be a problem. But other than that,
Yeah,
I
I
think,
don't really do much traveling.
no, I think the
because I know
eSIM is
that-
an improvement. I really do. I think it's a big improvement.
Yeah, I don't really travel all that much out of the U.S. So, the only time I really do is when my family goes to Finland, where my mom's from.
Right.
So that's the only time we
But
really.
because you're on T-Mobile, you probably don't even care. They're very good with their international plan. So
Right. So that's the only time we really need that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a good reason to stay with
my dad
T-Mobile.
wants to do, and
Yeah.
hopefully by the same time you get the 14, I'll have the 14, and we'll go from there.
Good. We'll talk. Thanks,
All right,
Ben.
see you, Leo.
Great to talk to you. Take care. Yeah, I forgot to mention that eSIM thing, and that actually is going to be a big deal. They said the eSIM will allow you to have multiple carriers. They didn't say two. I don't know if it is only two. It's at least two. Might be more. The only issue is if you ever wanted to put a physical SIM in, there's no tray anymore. So, but if you go to a country that supports eSIM, or if you're just in the U.S., eSIM's great because it means there's very little friction moving to a new carrier. So if you got tired of a T-Mobile, up to 8. Wow. That's really, that's very interesting. That's going to change things. All right, Sammy. We're going to talk automobiles next. They kind of are virtual SIMs, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I think it's kind of bold of Apple to say no more SIM tray. It's certainly, that's an advantage.
Courage.
It's a lot of courage.
Courage, Leo.
That one, you can justify because it does save space. It also seals the body. I think that one you can really say, well, there's some benefit.
And the reality is most people never swap their SIMs.
Right. We had a ritual, when the new iPhone would come out, all the family would show up. I'd get my SIM poker, and the phones would get slowly handed down the line.
Them around the table.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
And then the oldest one goes to recycling.
Tech Guy Podcast brought to you this weekend, every day, all the time by our great CDN, our content delivery network. That's CashFly. In fact, if you download any of our podcasts, any of the TWIP podcasts, if you watch them on our website, you're getting them from CashFly. We learned very early on, like in the first year of the network back in 2004 or 2005, that it wasn't going to work to stream our video from a website. We tried BitTorrent. We tried all sorts of providers, and Matt Levine of CashFly, bless you, Matt, came to me and said, we can help. And they have ever since then. When we went to video, CashFly said, no problem, we can do it. They've been a great partner. They'd be a great partner for you, especially if you want to do live streaming video. They now have something they call ultra-low latency video streaming that is the best in the business. You can go live in hours, not days, with latency below 1 second, sub 1 second latency. Ditch that unreliable WebRTC solution. Use their WebSocket live video workflow. And here's the good news. It scales to millions of users. So as you succeed, as you get bigger and bigger, CashFly's there for you. And with 50-plus locations around the world, you will reach your audience no matter where they are by being closer to them. That outperforms any local CDN. You can also, if you use CashFly's storage optimization system, take a load off your origin servers and reduce S3 bills and increase your cache hit ratio to 100%. That's a great service. We've been using that for some time. And of course, CashFly supports the best with their fully managed CDN solutions. No cares, no worries for you at all. CashFly's elite managed packages give you VIP treatment, 24/7 support, response times in less than an hour. And I have to say, we've really never had to use it because we've never had a problem. It's nice to know they're there, though, if you do, right? So, what are the takeaways here? With CashFly, you get ultra-low latency video streaming that delivers to more than 1 million concurrent users. You get lightning-fast gaming, delivering downloads faster with zero lag glitches or outages. You get mobile content optimization, automatic and simple image optimization so your site loads faster on any device. You get multiple CDNs for redundancy and failover, and your traffic is intelligently balanced across multiple providers, which means you get the shortest routes and it mitigates against performance glitches. In fact, it works so well, they've had 100% availability over the last year. 100% availability. 10 times faster than traditional methods. On 6 continents. 30% faster than other major CDNs. A 98% cache hit ratio. Why aren't you on CacheFly? With their 24/7, 365 priority support, you'll never alone. They're always there when you need them. Learn more at cachefly.com. It gives me great pleasure every time to say bandwidth for the Tech Guy Show, provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. CacheFly. Thank you, CacheFly. It's time to talk automobiles. Car talking time with Sam Abuelsamid. He during the day, by day, a mild-mannered analyst for Guidehouse Insights. By night, podcaster at wheelbearings.media. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
Good to see you. How's things in the car biz?
Oh, just more of the same. More. It seems like more EVs being introduced almost on a daily basis.
Is that driven by? I know it's driven by regulatory requirements, especially in California. But is it also driven by consumer interest?
The regulatory requirements were what created the initial pull for EVs, but now we're finally starting to get some consumer pull as well, growing consumer demand for EVs as more and more EVs come out in different form factors and different price points. Consumer and people see them more and experience them. And one of the keys to getting people to consider an EV is to actually get them in one first. Because people think, a lot of people have never been in an electric vehicle. They think, oh yeah, it's just, it's a glorified golf cart. And once they actually ride or drive in a modern EV, they realize that, oh yeah, I mean, this is actually really good.
They're fun to drive.
The performance, the quiet, the smoothness.
I'm going in for my really first maintenance on my Mustang Mach-E, which I've had since February of last year, the 10,000-mile maintenance. And by the way, my Ford dealer
tires and
there's not much. My Ford dealer, said, "Are you going to need an oil change?" I said, "No."
Don't think I need one just yet.
Not yet, but there are fluids. There is a 12-volt traditional car battery in there, and of course you want to rotate the tires. I probably should rotate the tires more often than every 10,000 miles, but
it's probably a good idea to rotate your tires probably about every 5,000 miles or so. All 10's not bad.
But that's the beauty of it. Kind of an unknown beauty of electric vehicles. There's no maintenance on the motors. Those things,
that's right.
They just go. They're sealed and they just go. I also hear from Tesla drivers who, for often, a lot of people, their first electric vehicle is a Tesla. And they say, oh, I love my Tesla. And what I've said to them is, check that, because what I think you love is electric vehicles. Try some others, because the thing that makes the Tesla so great to drive makes every EV so great to drive. That instant torque when you hit the pedal, it just leaps forward if you want it to. The one pedal driving, which sometimes people go, oh, I don't know if I can do that. But once you get used to it, you hardly hit the brakes. It's a much smoother ride. I can go on and on.
I mean, I will give Tesla some credit, in a couple of other areas. First of all, not having to go through the traditional dealer rigmarole.
Hallelujah.
It is an advantage. A lot of people consider that an advantage. And also, they have done a much better job with charging than everybody else.
They have better range than most, and they also have those superchargers.
Well, real world range is actually comparable. Teslas tend to fall about 20 to 30% shy of their EPA rated range. So when you actually compare them head to head with competing vehicles, the range is usually about the same as most competitors.
Okay. Now, GM is going all in on electric vehicles. GM
and a lot of other manufacturers are going all in on EVs.
We have a Chevy Bolt, a 2019 Chevy Bolt, which we love. And, of course, our 19-year-old says, I think I like the EUV better. That's the newer Bolt. But now they just come out.
Slightly longer.
Now they've come out with an Equinox.
He's tall, so.
Yeah, he's tall.
Yeah.
The Equinox is a little bit more like my Mustang Mach-E. It's a crossover, huh?
Yeah, it's a crossover. It's a little bit smaller than your Mach-E. So this past week, we had big announcements from both GM and Jeep with their upcoming EVs. First off, we'll start with
I'd love an electric
the
Wrangler. That would be cool. I'll ask you about that later.
The Equinox is coming out about a year from now.
Okay.
If you're watching,
is it the same platform as the Bolts?
No, it's different. It's their next generation platform. It's based on Ultium, so it's got better battery technology, better motors. Everything is improved. So it's the next generation platform. And the thing about the Equinox, this crossover is targeted to start at a price of about $30,000.
Wow! With
a 250-mile range, front wheel drive.
Very nice.
It's a little bit bigger than the current gas Equinox. And then they'll have versions with all-wheel drive with 290 horsepower and ranges up to 300 miles for the Equinox. And so, this is kind of right in the heart of the market today. It used to be that after pickup trucks, the next best-selling segment in the U.S. market was midsize sedans. People have moved away from sedans into compact crossovers like the Equinox. The RAV4, if you take out pickup trucks, the best-selling vehicle in the United States now is the Toyota RAV4. It used to, for 20 plus years, it was the Camry. Now people are buying RAV4s instead. For Honda, it's the CR-V. For Chevrolet, it's the Equinox is their best-selling vehicle after the Silverado.
That's actually good news for EV manufacturers because they need that extra space for the battery.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is I think is going to be a really popular vehicle when it arrives next year. Yeah. As I said, starting price is going to be $30,000. That's before any incentives. And so that's coming soon. And then the other thing that we saw this week was a big announcement from Jeep. They last year they announced that by 2025 they're going to have electrified versions in every segment they compete in. By 2030 they'll have battery electric versions of everything they build. And so this week they showed their first 3 EVs. One that they showed pictures of earlier this year is called the Avenger. It's a much smaller crossover. That one's only for the European market. It's too small. They wouldn't sell enough of them here to make it a viable product. But they also showed the Recon, which is what's on the screen behind me, and also the Wagoneer S. The Recon is about the same size as the Wrangler, but it's a different body style. It looks like sort of a cross between a Ford Bronco, Land Rover Defender, and with a little bit of the front end of the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. And so it's going to be, because the body's wider than the current Wrangler, because the Wrangler is actually pretty tight inside because it's got that relatively narrow body, but those big fenders on there that people, looks really cool to a lot of people.
Yeah, but it takes up seat space. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this one is going to have a wider body, same overall width, but the body is going to be wider, so you'll have more room
the
inside.
Recon. Now, when a manufacturer goes to EV, do you throw out the window all the previous reliability information? It's a whole new platform, right? So
pretty much, yeah.
Their history doesn't matter so much, right?
To some degree. I mean, if they've generally got a good history of producing quality products and reliable products, they'll probably do a pretty good job with their EVs.
Right.
If not, then they might have issues. So this is the Recon. Like the Wrangler, it's got removable doors, removable windows. You can't fold down the front window, but it's got a power top and everything.
I want a snorkel, mate, so I can drive underwater.
So you can do that, the whole off-road thing. So this is going to be competing with the Rivian, which is right now Rivian's kind of got that off-road electric market to itself. Yeah. So this will be going up against the Rivian R1S. And then the Wagoneer S is more of a luxury midsize crossover. It's similar in size to the Grand Cherokee, but it's going to be significantly more premium than that. And that one is supposed to have a range of up to 400 miles, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
It's nice to see
gonna be a lot of options,
more choice in EVs, and finally we're getting away from those, weird-looking EVs. They look more like normal vehicles, right? A vehicle you're not embarrassed.
Don't make fun of the Nissan Leaf, Leo.
to drive. It looks like an alien. Sam Abuelsamid from Guidehouse Insights. Listen to his podcast, Wheel Bearings, and of course he joins us every week. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Leo.
That Recon looks nice. It's a little pricey for me, but it looks very, very
well. They
nice.
haven't said what the price is going to be.
Oh, I thought it was going to be roughly Rivian price.
No, I mean it'll be competing, for the same kind of buyers, the lifestyle off-road buyers as the Rivian. Right. But I think they're going to try and keep this one lower in price.
It'll go nicely with my Extreme watch.
Yeah, exactly. Or your Extreme or your Ultra?
I mean my Ultra. Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect. A perfect combination. Yeah.
Yeah. My guess is that they are probably going to try and keep the Recon under $60,000.
Okay.
The Wrangler, because the Wrangler is kind of the icon for Jeep.
Yeah.
That one they'll probably allow it go a little bit higher.
They'll have a luxury Wagoneer or Wrangler, right?
The Wagoneer is going to be the luxury model. Probably in the $85,000 to $100,000 range.
For a Jeep.
The Wrangler, I'm guessing will probably be in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. Jeeps have gotten expensive. If you haven't shopped for a Jeep in recent years, oh boy!
I always thought they were less expensive. Okay, all right.
Yeah. No. Well, not since they got really popular.
Yeah,
they've supply and demand. A lot of people want Jeeps, and so
where's my EV Bronco? That's what I want to know.
I'm guessing probably 2025, maybe 26.
Yeah.
It will be coming.
Yeah.
It's just a question of when rather than if.
Right.
Let's see.
I'm gonna have a lot of choices in 2 years. That's for sure. I told Lisa I think I'm just going to keep the Mach-E because I love it, and its resale value is going to be higher than the lease.
Well be the case.
Lease buyback. So maybe just buy it and sell it. It would be one option. Yeah.
For a lot of people, like over the last year and a half, that have leases expiring, that's what I've been recommending to people because in many cases, if you leased a vehicle in 2019, 2020, 2018, and you're coming off lease, chances are your buyout at the end of that lease is less than what the current market value of that vehicle is. So even if you don't want to keep the vehicle, buy it at the end of the lease and then turn around and just sell it. And you probably get several thousand, not many thousands of dollars more than what the buyout was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you can't go wrong. I understand that Ford doesn't do buyouts anymore on leases, but mine is grandfathered in. Yeah.
Starting with the 23 models.
Yeah.
For the EVs, they are no longer offering a buyout option. So at the end of the lease, you have to turn it in because they've recognized that. Hey,
we're giving up money.
Yeah, we've got so much demand for our EVs that we are better off to take them back from the customers at the end of the lease and then turn around and sell them as used through our dealers,
right?
Rather than and let the dealers get that profit rather than the customers.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Phoenix Warp asked, why create an entire new Jeep model and not just make a Wrangler EV? So there is a Wrangler EV coming. They are doing that as well. What they're doing with the Recon is they're basically trying to go after a little bit different customer. This is, because this is a different, it's similar in overall size, but a lot of people, look at the Wrangler, just a few weeks ago, I was listening to Accidental Tech Podcast. Well, I'll finish the story during the next segment.
Save it for the top of the hour. You're going to stick around. Good.
Yep.
Yeah. Kilotech says 57 Chevy EV. Yeah. Now we're talking.
That can be done.
Yeah. Conversion. All right. Thanks, Sam. We'll talk in a bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Mark on the line from Santa Ana, California. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how you doing? And thanks for taking the call.
I'm wonderful. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have two questions. I got a Google Pixel 6a for me and my son when they had that $300, return your phone,
Good,
which both
good.
of ours have been encased and in pristine condition, and we got $58 back. each.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and I tried calling, and I'm just wondering, the first question is, do either you or anybody out there listening know how to get contact?
No, there's no one in the building at Google. It's all robots. They don't know. I tell you, I see this. I follow the forums on Reddit, the Pixel forums on Reddit, and I see this a lot. It's so did you get it? You had an online offer, and then when you sent it in, they gave you much less. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
How much did they offer you?
$300.
Did they say why they're only giving you 58?
Yeah.
Why?
They don't say.
Oh, they didn't say.
You can't get a hold of anybody.
But so sometimes when they give you the new offer, they'll say, "Well, there was damage or something." Nothing. They just said, "Here's your 58 bucks."
No,
Well,
the only thing there was is a little grime around the phone because I case everything. I'm very careful. So is my son.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Scooter X says he got a $350 trade-in from Google from his Pixel 2. So that's going to make you even more irate. Thanks, Scooter. They screwed you. And I don't know how you can pursue this except to go through customer service, and you probably should. If you go to reddit.com/r/pixel, you'll see a number of people who've had problems like this. You'll also see people like Scooter X who say, "Oh, I got $489." So Google is pretty much a random company, and there's no customer support. Generally, my advice, your phone company will offer you a trade-in. The manufacturer, whether it's Apple or Google or Samsung, will offer you a trade-in. Honestly, I think you're better off going to Swappa or Gazelle or one of the many resale people and at least get a quote from them. And I think they stand by it a little bit better. Google is a monolithic monster company. Certainly you should complain to customer support. And you should call them. You should be aggressive, not mean, because it's not the customer service representative's fault, but just say, no, really, this phone was in perfect condition. I gotta know more. What the heck's going on? Let me talk to your manager. Let me talk to your supervisor. Do whatever tricks you can to upgrade it, but I can't give you much hope. Google's notorious for just being completely opaque. So, we generally do not take the trade-ins. The one exception I would make from the manufacturers, the one exception I would make is Samsung. On the day of the release of the phone, or the pre-order of the phone, they seem to be unusually generous. You always still have that risk because they're going to say, "Oh, good, I'll give you $1,000 for that Flip 3," and then you pack it up real nice and everything. You sent it to them and said, "Well, really, it's only worth $400." Usually, by the way, you have the option at that point to reject. In fact, I know you do, to reject their offer. So that's another possibility. Say, "No, I reject your offer. Send it back." And now, if it's in all the good shape you say it is, you should be able to go to Swappa or Gazelle or any of the other resellers and do it. Now, the difference with Apple is you can get that quote in person. So you can bring it to the Apple store, and the genius can give you the money directly. So you at least have the option there. But every single person I know of that does the rebuy, every company that does a rebuy will say, "You can reject this offer, and we'll ship it back to you." I'm sure Google offers that as well. $58 seems ridiculous, especially if the phone's in perfect condition. That seems absurd. I don't understand that at all. Say, no, thank you. I'm going elsewhere. I think you got a great phone, though. The 6A is an excellent phone. I'm just sorry that Google treated you so shabbily. Fred, Fraser Park, California. Leo Laporte, the tech.
Hey, Leo. I've got a phone question, but before I ask that, you were talking about EVs, and I used to commute like 150 miles a day. I live in the mountains in California. I commute down to a city, and I go through snowstorms, ice storms, and stuff like that. Are tow trucks going to have like fast chargers on them?
Yeah, they do already. Tesla will come and charge you up. It takes a while. 300 miles, it's 150 each way.
No, it's 75 each way.
Oh, you won't have a problem. Almost, yeah, because there's a lot of, if you charge it up the night before, my car...
I don't do that anymore, but it came to mind when you were talking about it.
Look, let's be honest, not everybody is a good use case for an EV. If you live in an apartment building where there's no charger, If you live in snow country, these batteries don't do as well in low temperatures, so that might be a problem. But 150 miles, no problem. I get, when I fully charge my Mustang, it's about 250 miles. That's 100 miles extra. Those estimates are very accurate. They get more accurate as you use it. And you will have a pretty good idea as you drive of how you're doing. I wouldn't worry at all about 150 miles.
Well, cool. Anyway, my phone question.
Yes.
I have a Uverse phone setup. Goes way back. I replaced just a standard phone with the Uverse so I could do Wi-Fi with a laptop. And I plugged a portable phone base station into that router modem, whatever you want to call it. Well, last week, my phone went dead, my portable phone. And when I pushed the buttons on the phone, it would beep, but there was absolutely no dial tone. So I thought, well, I'll go reset the modem. I tried that, didn't do a thing. And I'm legally blind now, so I can see like light and dark and color in the light areas, but I can't read or write or anything like that. Well, I tried resetting the modem, sticking it in my face, and there seemed to be one status light on, and that was it. Well, by a lot of patience, I got through to customer service at AT&T, and they ran some checks, and they said, your modem's not synchronizing. What's that mean?
That's great. That means it's not talking to us. So the lights on the router are actually very useful. I saw a few routers that don't put lights anymore on them. That seems really, really dumb. So there's a link light which says you're connected, but the sync light says you're connected and we're talking. So to understand this, you have to, and I won't go into the details, but there are many layers of a network connection, 7 OSI layers. There's the physical layer. So the link light says, yeah, we got a physical connection. But then above that, there's a software layer that says, and we're talking. You're not talking. So you probably rebooted it, right? That didn't fix it?
Didn't do a thing. No,
AT&T should say, oh, let's send, they should be able to tell you what the problem is. And sometimes they'll say, oh, yeah, we don't have your MAC address on record or something happened. And in that case, they should be able to send a signal down the line that resync. So
yeah, they tried that and it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Here's the weird part.
They need to give you a new one. That's all.
They've already done that.
Okay.
In fact, they did it so fast it startled me.
Yeah, they don't want to lose you.
But what was weird, okay, I live up in the mountains, and I put that Uverse thing in first. I replaced my old regular landline, and then I said, we have power outages, and if there's an emergency, I got to have a phone.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I put a UPS in. That's not really going to last too long. So I put a landline in. I got a cell phone eventually. So I'm all set that way. But what happened before I did the landline and the cell phone, where you plug in the phone, which is where I have the portable phone base station plugged in, I put a splitter. And I thought, well, I'm going to do an experiment and see what happens. Well, our power went out one time, and on one side of the splitter, it was like two things you could plug into. I had the base station plugged in. Then I just plugged in a regular handheld line, and I got a dial tone.
Wow.
And that was with no power.
Good.
And, well, then, when it went down this time, I tried the same thing.
Hey, I got a break because of the network, but hang on. I'll talk off the air. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're on DSL with Uverse, probably, yeah? VDSL?
I got AT&T. I don't know whatever that is.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Okay, well, here's the deal. I did my first experiment when the power went out, and I plugged in the second phone, got a dial tone, fine. This time, when the modem went out, I plugged it in, no dial tone whatsoever.
So the battery may have died. So they have battery backup in those things.
Well, I've got a battery backup in it. In fact, that was another thing.
Well, that's the thing. If it's not working, you may have died. The battery doesn't last forever.
Well, I think when I did my first experiment, there wasn't a battery in it because AT&T got real weird. They'd come by and they'd take your battery away and say, we don't support that anymore. So I went a long time without a backup battery. I finally had to call the manufacturer of the modem, and I actually had to make some threats to get them to sell me one. But anyway, I tried the thing of plugging in the second phone, and no dial tone, nothing. Now I've got a new modem, so I'm not out of functioning or anything like that. But I wondered why that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. This is why generally we recommend having a real landline. That may not be an option for you because the phone companies.
I've got a real landline, and I've got a cell phone.
So the good news about the landline is that will work.
Yeah, because that's powered by the switching.
The company.
Switch.
The cell phone may or may not work depending on how widespread the outage is. Because remember, the cell phone tower also requires power. They're usually battery backed up, sometimes generator backed up.
You've got one that's about, the cell tower is about 2 years old, 3 years old.
Yeah, okay, it's probably okay. But again,
it's only about 2 or 3.
The thing that you can really rely on is the landline, then the cell phone. The least reliable is any voice over the internet solution because that has multiple failure modes. I'm not sure why you're not getting dial tone now. My guess would be that the battery, they only have a 2-year shelf life, so it may well be that the battery is worn out and isn't taking a charge. That's probably a call for AT&T. I don't really know what's going on there. I have to run, unfortunately, because we've got a really nice fella, Sam, who's just sitting here waiting to talk about automobiles.
All right, thanks, Leo.
All yours.
So to finish off the story I was telling earlier on the Accidental Tech podcast, which is the show that Marco Arment, John Siracusa, and Casey List do over on Relay FM. Or actually, no, it's not on Relay. Anyway, this is the show that they do. Marco was recently telling a story about going car shopping. He wanted a second vehicle. He and his family live on Fire Island, and he needed a vehicle for driving on the beach. The three vehicles he decided to take a look at were the Jeep Wagoneer EV or plug-in hybrid, the Toyota 4Runner, and the Land Rover Defender. And he took his 10-year-old son, and they took a look at the Jeep. They took it for a test drive, and one of the reasons why they opted not to get the Jeep, even though it was the only one of the three with a plug, Marco is a big fan of EVs now. He's on his second Tesla Model S. But he opted not to get the Jeep in part because it is really quite cramped inside. It's not really a small vehicle, but because of the way the body is shaped, it doesn't have a whole lot of cabin width in there. Even, for his 10-year-old son said of the three, it was the least comfortable in the back seat. That's why Jeep is part of why Jeep is doing the Recon, as a distinctly different vehicle. It's still going to have the off-road capabilities of a Wrangler, but it is, it's designed to be more amenable to families, be a roomier vehicle inside, even though it's got a similar overall footprint to the Wrangler. So a couple of other things that came up in the chat. Let's see. Somebody asked about turning the Isuzu Amigo into an EV. Frankly, I would not recommend that. To be honest, I would not recommend the Isuzu Amigo under any circumstances. The best thing to do with an Isuzu Amigo is just to park it and walk away. And there's lots of reasons for that. But also somebody mentioned the 57 Chevy as an EV. And actually, this is something that you could do. Increasingly, we are seeing manufacturers offering retrofit kits. Through their performance parts divisions for a long time, they've offered crate engines, which is basically a full engine in a box that you can get, and GM, for example, offers crate engines of different varieties of their small block V8s and some of their other engines. And you can order these and, get it with a wiring harness and everything, and you can drop it into all kinds of different vehicles. Similarly, Ford does the same thing. Over the last couple of years, they have started to offer electric crate motors. So in the case of GM, they are offering a kit that is basically the battery pack, the motors, the electric motor, and the power electronics from the Chevy Bolt as a kit. And they've done a couple of concepts that they've shown at the annual SEMA show in Las Vegas, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. Last year, I think they did a mid-1970s Chevy Blazer that they converted with this kit. And I forget what the one they did the year before was, but they've done, you can take this and you can package this in a lot of different ways. And, so you can do this. You can convert something like a vintage Chevy, a 57 Chevy, into an EV, because the motors are so small. The toughest challenge is actually going to be just packaging the battery pack. But there are ways to do this and it's going to get increasingly easier in the coming years. I think we'll be seeing manufacturers putting together a lot more of these types of conversion kits that you can use in different vehicles. Bernard Adams is asking, what is the most prestigious car brand in your opinion? So there's not like so many things, I don't think there's a simple answer to that. It depends on what your definition of prestige is, what you're looking for. Are you looking for the most luxurious premium vehicle? Are you looking for the highest performance vehicle? Those are two very different things. On the luxury prestige side, Rolls-Royce, obviously needs to be considered up there, but also Bentley, Mercedes Maybach. They're all, they've all got vehicles that fit into that category. If what you're looking for is the most prestigious sports car, Ferrari obviously is one that always comes top of mind. They have a long history of winning in motorsports, and they make some incredible vehicles, but also Lamborghini. So it's rarely as it's like when somebody asks me what's my favorite car, and it's like, it's hard to give a single answer to that question. Then earlier, Mike Heiss asked in the chat about the Metropolitan Police replacing the current armored Jaguar Sovereigns that they use for moving royalty and officials, high government officials around with new armored Audi A8s. He asked about why not replace those with armored Land Rovers. My guess is, it probably had to do with a number of factors, including reliability. They probably put out a tender offer, request for quote, and say, how much are you going to charge us for these vehicles? So there's probably a wide variety of issues that led them to not choose a British-built vehicle for this particular round of upgrades. The Audi A8. Armored Audi.
Very
Audi
nice
A8.
vehicle, but it's not British. What the hell?
No, it's not. Yeah, well, they probably got a better deal on it.
Can you imagine how much anger there'd be if the Beast were not made in the U.S.? That's cray-cray.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Thank you, Sam. Have a great week.
All right.
Take
you
care.
too. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here. That's me. I'm your tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, augmented reality, virtual reality, real reality, electric vehicles, all that stuff. 88, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. Yeah, really, an EV is basically a computer on wheels these days. We were talking about the new iPhones. One thing I did not mention that actually could be a showstopper for some people. You know how Apple got rid of the headphone jack, and they said, courage, courage. Well, equal courage shown. They've gotten rid of the SIM tray. So on most smartphones, most phones in general, you may know there's a little tray in the phone. You can use a poker. I often use a paper clip to press the hole in the tray, and it'll pop out a little tray. Be careful. Don't poke the poker in the microphone hole. That's the wrong hole. It'll be a hole surrounded by a line, an oval line. That's the tray. You press that hole, and the tray pops out. Inside, there's a little electronic chip. They call it a SIM card. And the SIM card is how, for most carriers, you identify yourself. That's how they know it's you. That's how they know it's, your phone number, your account, all of that stuff. It's actually, SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module. That's what it is. It says who you are. But the capabilities existed for some time to do an electronic SIM. In fact, if you think about it, in the old days, Verizon and Sprint didn't have SIM cards. They were CDMA in the old phones. They just did it. You would call them or you would go online and they would activate the phone. Well, that's how it's going to be for everybody. Good news, the way Apple has implemented, that's called an eSIM. The eSIM allows you to have multiple SIMs. I think up to 8 different SIMs. Only 2 can be active at any one time, but that's good. Why would you want that? Well, it's especially valuable as you travel overseas. There are some countries with multiple carriers. India, for instance, you can go 1 mile and change carriers. So very popular in India to have dual SIM phones with the 2 different carriers that you're nearest to, that kind of thing. But it's bad news for anybody who does travel to countries that don't support eSIM, and there are quite a few that don't at this point. So if you're an international traveler and you like to go to a country and buy a SIM card at the airport that you stick in the phone so that you have inexpensive calls and data, this is no longer going to work in those countries. So check before you go. Make sure your eSIM will work. They're only selling the eSIM phones in the U.S. right now for that reason. But no more SIM trays in the iPhones. And I think that actually deserves the Courage Award. That's kind of brave. Won't affect most of us. If you don't, leave the U.S., not a big deal. In fact, it's actually a good thing because it means it's going to be much easier to switch carriers. Carriers may not like it. But if you're on a carrier and you don't like them, you can easily call another carrier and switch over. You don't have to get them to mail you a SIM. You don't have to go to the phone store to get a new SIM. It's all done in software. That's great. That means it'll be much easier to move from carrier to carrier. 88. I wanted to mention that just because that is one feature that might throw some people for a loop. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. If you want to talk high tech, I'm here to talk high tech with you. Eva is on the line from Prescott Valley, Arizona. Hello, Eva.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
Already you're laughing, and we just got on together. I'm well. How are you?
I'm laughing because I'm so happy I'm getting to talk to you.
Woohoo!
I had the wonderful pleasure of meeting you one time years ago when you were still in Petaluma, and you were just a pleasure to be with.
Oh, aren't you?
I listen to you all the time.
Aren't you kind? Well, thank you. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a kind of important question to me. I don't know how important it'll be to everybody else, but we have an RV and we travel quite a bit. And on occasion, I have to do some work and different things. And so I need a really basic, doesn't need to be color or anything. I need a printer. I don't always have real Wi-Fi. I do have hotspot. So I need something that I can be reliably used that way.
Yeah, you don't want a network printer. You want one that you connect via USB is what you want. Right?
Via USB. Okay.
That's how printers used to. So in the old you're printing from a phone or a tablet, not a computer?
Correct.
So you don't have a USB port. Oh, okay. Okay, Leo. Next time ask the right questions. So what kind of phone are you using?
Right now, it's an iPhone 12 Pro.
Okay. So iPhone has technology they call AirPrint, which does connect wirelessly to the printer. The question would be, if you're not online, can you still print? And I believe you can. So
I have a wireless printer in my home.
yeah, and it's on your Wi-Fi network, as is your phone. So,
Correct.
I mean, my initial thought is, well, that will work because it's using the Wi-Fi. But if you're not on a shared Wi-Fi network, can you still print is the question. And that's an interesting question. So when you are on the road, you don't set up Wi-Fi. You just use your 3G or LTE connected device and use its internet. You don't set up a network for the RV.
That's correct.
Okay. So I think what you're going to need to do to print to your printer with AirPrint is set up a Wi-Fi connection. It doesn't matter if the Wi-Fi setup doesn't have internet access. But that's how it's going to, that's the network that it's going to use to talk to the printer. So
you're saying I don't actually have to have Wi-Fi, I just have to...
Well, you do have to have Wi-Fi. You don't have to have internet. So...
Oh, well, see, the problem is I can't get Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you can set up Wi-Fi because you can get something that will have Wi-Fi. Let me see here. Do I need Wi-Fi to print using AirPrint? Mac printers computers can receive print jobs through USB if you don't have access to wireless direct print. Yeah, sounds like if you're not going to be wired. Oh, there's another way to do it, come to think of it. You can, with your printer, many printers can print directly. Direct print, it's called. You would set up a Wi-Fi network on your phone. You'd hotspot your phone, and you'd have the printer join. Let's see, is that the right way to do it, or vice versa? No, you set up you put your printer in direct print mode. It creates a Wi-Fi hotspot, which your phone joins. So your phone will see HP 737299. You go, oh, I see it in your Wi-Fi settings. You join that, and now you can AirPrint to the printer. But so the printer has to support something called direct print. Most printers do, by the way. And the way direct print does is it sets up what's called an ad hoc Wi-Fi network. It sets up a Wi-Fi network that only connects to that printer, not the internet, not anything else. Then you join that Wi-Fi network with your phone or your tablet or your other device and print to it.
And do you know if there's any particular printer that is...
Almost all printers do that. What, do you have one already?
Well, I have one at my residence, but I don't think I'd want to bring that with me. It's kind of big.
Oh, yeah. So there are definitely... There are small mobile printers. You don't want to get too mobile, but I mean, they make them, for sitting like on the seat of your car.
Yeah, well, the RV is not tiny, but it also, every inch matters.
All right. Well, HP makes a mobile printer that will do, I think almost all Canon does as well. They're fairly small. Just make sure when you look at it that it has direct print. It has that capability of creating a network. And I don't know if AirPrint would do it or not, come to think of it. I'm going to have to think about that. Direct print would allow your phone then to join the Wi-Fi network that your printer's on and print to it directly via the phone.
Understood.
I can look.
That's how I felt.
This is so complicated. I figure that any portable printer is going to support it because that's how else would you print to it? So I think that probably if you look for portable printers, you're going to see, I'll put a link to some reviews of the best portable printers, but I think they're all going to support direct print. HP OfficeJet 250, that will do it. That's actually a nice little printer that's very compact. You can take a look at that. It does color, which is good. Canon makes one, a portable printer, the Pixma TR150. Epson makes one, the Workforce ECC110. That's their smallest workforce printer. It's portable. It supports Wi-Fi Direct as well. So that's what you're looking for, direct print. Or sometimes they call it Wi-Fi Direct. Yes.
Do you still have your sweet little Papillon?
I don't. He passed away a couple of years ago. You met Ozzy, huh? I know.
That doggy was adorable.
Wasn't he a sweetie? Oh, we loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss him quite a bit. Thank you for asking. Eva.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It's
You did.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we love that little pup. Well, did you come with your family or just by yourself? Or
I came with my husband, John. The two of us were in there. And we had a great time.
oh, well, come back as soon as COVID's over. Whenever that is. Come, come back and visit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. All right, have a great one. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls, 8888 Ask Leo in just a little bit. And photo time with our photo sensei, Chris Marquardt. You stay right here. Well, I won't go that far. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Chris Marquardt coming up in just a little bit. But first, Tom is on the line from Niagara Falls. Hi, Tom.
Hi. Slowly I turn, Leo.
Was that the Three Stooges?
It sure was.
Wow.
Hey, it's great to talk to you. Just want to say, I'll echo many other callers that say they've been with you since SDTV and screensavers. I just hope you know what a fixture you are in so many of our lives. Anyone who had cable TV and electronics ended up on your channel instead.
It was fun because this was 1998 through 2004, and it doesn't seem really that long ago or pre-internet or anything, but it was the case, I think, especially in the late 90s, that if you were a geek, if you were really into this stuff, you know, there were other guys at the Radio Shack you could talk to, but you were kind of like a small group. And I think to do a TV show for those people, talk about courage, it wasn't my money, I think was great because it gave everybody a sense of belonging, and it really, it lasted. And I think that's really good. Yeah. I was very fortunate.
You were the man for us, so thank you. My question is, I have a older Mac that was running High Sierra, and I recently acquired a newer one, Intel also. And I want to move everything over, but I really don't want the whole operating system and everything. So I wondered what your advice would be on.
So do you have a new one now, or you say, I have an existing one I want to move stuff over to?
Well, I have an existing one, and I just acquired a new one that I want.
Oh, yeah. When you get the new one, when Apple does this quite well, I think everybody does it now, but when you get the new one and you turn on that Mac for the first time, it'll say, oh, do you want to move your stuff over from your old computer? It will not move the operating system. It will just move the applications, the data. In fact, you even get to choose. You'll get a list of things that can move over, and it does quite a very, very good job. It's called a migration assistant. And even if you're not running that Mac for the first time, you can run Migration Assistant. It's in the utility folder, in your applications folder. You can run that directly and go through that whole process. That's what I always use when I get a new Mac. It's best if you can to connect the two together with a high-speed cable. Depends how old the old one is. If the old one has Thunderbolt, that's the best way to do it. But you can also use an Ethernet cable or even Wi-Fi. It just is, faster with a direct connection.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. I have a couple time machine backups, and I didn't know if I should.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, and that's another option, actually. Yeah. Is one better than the other? Time machine would be faster because you can connect that hard drive directly. Yeah, if you have a time machine backup, that's another way to do that. And I've never used the time machine. I always do the migration assistant because then you're getting exactly what's on the old computer. But if you've been keeping your time machine up to date, yeah, that's probably the fastest way to do it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Would time machine clone the whole drive? And again, I don't want to.
No, it won't. No, no. Apple's careful not to move as they should, not to move the operating system over. That's fraught with peril because, your operating system has a lot of hardware specific stuff in it. So you definitely don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going from High Sierra to Monterey. So
yeah. You want to. It'll keep it Monterey. It won't change it. Migration Assistant lets you choose either a direct connect or the time machine. So either one will work, yeah.
Okay, last question. Will it change the language from the old extended journal to the new one, the APFS?
That is up to you and how you format it. The drive is already formatted. If it's a brand new computer, it's formatted to APFS now.
Okay.
And so it doesn't care about the drive formatting. It's not going to copy the drive formatting. So you've got an APFS. You want APFS, I take it.
Yes.
Yes, much better. In fact, you'll see the Time Machine is much better with the new Apple file system. It's very good, APFS. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for everything.
Good.
And bright future to you and the Twit Network. And I think you have a rising star in Micah all set to take.
Oh, I agree. So he's going to carry that torch. Micah and Jason Howell and Aunt Pruitt, they're going to carry the torch forward. We hope. They're younger than I am. A lot.
Okay.
Because I think, it's not such a special thing these days if you're into technology. Everybody is to some degree or another. But I still think we need a place for us geeks to gather and talk. And that's what the podcast network is for. Thank you for the very, very kind words, Tim. I appreciate it. Can you see the falls from your house?
Not now, but I used to live just a couple blocks from them. And when I opened the window at night, I could hear it. Oh. So it's pretty cool.
Believe it or not, I've never been to Niagara Falls. Lisa says we got to do that. Should we do the Maid of the Mist boat ride?
Absolutely. And I highly recommend what you would do is fly into Buffalo, spend a day at the falls. You can do everything at the falls. You can go to the Canadian side.
I hear the Canadian side's nicer than the Buffalo side. Is that not true?
Well, they're two different things.
Two different views, yeah.
The American side has the falls, and from the Canadian side, you can see more of it. But on the American side, it's more park and nature. Canadian side is very commercialized with a lot of...
That's hysterical. That's the exact opposite of what I thought. I'm going to the American side. And what kind of barrel do you recommend for going over the falls? Do you have a preference? No, I won't do that, I promise.
A highly padded one, but I would also recommend combining it with a trip to Toronto. It's only
I love Toronto. Used to work there 1 week a month for several years. You're right. I think Toronto's a great city. Good suggestion. Thanks, Tim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Love Toronto. Okay, so Benito, you don't need to bring him up until 5:30. Also, is this the shot that you actually wanted on camera one? Because I'm looking at it going, you came in here to get that shot better, and this is what you... Uh-oh, there goes somebody in an RV. I hope they're using Wi-Fi printing. Yeah, it's easy to knock it. Maybe I could well have knocked it. Crimson and clover, over and over. Hello, Chris.
Hello, hello, hello.
What are we doing today? Do I need a find something in my email?
No, you don't need to do anything. You can lean back and talk with me about doing a photo walk. You might want to bring up a website called Easy Travel, izi.travel.
Okay.
And but I want to show pictures, and I want to talk about how to.
What is a photo walk? I think that's a great topic. Yes.
Yes.
That's a good shot. I like that shot. Thank you, Benito. Crimson.
And I have slides here to show, so I will bring those up when we need them.
Nice. Mama, don't take my Kodachrome. It's time for our photo guy, my photo sensei, Mr. Chris Marquardt at sensei.photo, where he leads workshops and coaching sessions. He's got great books on photography and does the world's best photographic podcast tips from the top floor at tfttf.com. And ladies and gentlemen, he is now appearing in our living room. Hello, Chris.
Hey, it's good to be back. How are you today?
It's magic. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. I've just returned from a photo walk.
Oh.
Have you ever done a photo walk?
Oh, many times, and I haven't done one in so long, but I love photo walks. I really think they're fun. So tell the world what a photo walk is.
Well, a photo walk is like a community activity. You meet with friends who like photography, with photo enthusiasts, and you walk around with the camera and take pictures of something.
It's my favorite way to do photography.
It's wonderful because you are doing the thing you love with like-minded people.
Yeah.
And often photo walks are themed, and that's what we did today. A couple of friends organized that. I did like an hour drive to Kassel, a city in south from here, and we did a themed photo walk about Kassel street art.
Nice.
There's a big art festival going on there right now, and there's a lot of murals and city art and stuff. So that's what we did, and So I want to talk about, first of all, how do you find a photo walk? Because photo walks, I mean, you can, of course, do your own photo walk if you're the photo club.
Occasionally, we'll even announce a photo walk for our Twit fans. We've done one in Vegas. We did one in South by Southwest in Austin. Those are so much fun. And it's nice if you can get a real photographer like you along for the ride for the tips and tricks and, you know, and then I just copy.
Or just for looking over the shoulder,
basically to copy.
Watching,
yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Totally fine.
Oh, good.
So, well, first of all, I want to point out a network. I didn't really know about this for the longest time, but I found out about it. And I think it's really cool. It's called Easy Travel, IZI.travel. It's a website. They also have an app. And that's a website where you can, if you click on the listen button, you can type in, I don't know, San Francisco, and it'll show you tours about certain things. It doesn't have to be photo related, but it's a themed tour, and a lot of people put audio guides in there. So you get like a tour with a map on different stops, and then you get a little audio snippet at every stop that tells you something about it. It's
photo specific,
it's crowdsourced.
But it gets you out there and tells you what to be looking for, like that.
And it helps you, and it makes this into a structured kind of experience.
Oh, I'm glad to know about this. We usually hire a guide in a city, but this way you could get a local in your ear. Oh, I love this.
Yes, totally. I'm a fan of that. So we used that, and we found this street art walk that's like a 2-3 hour walk, and we used that as a template to walk along and take photo and do some photography. So, and then everyone is of course different. Some people brought a big mirrorless camera and several lenses. I thought I'd play it, well, let's say a bit lazy, because I've just brought the iPhone. And
good.
If you do street related stuff, like if you want to want to get some strangers on the photos and things like that, the smaller camera is usually the better one. It doesn't get too much attention from people because it's just a phone. And so, yeah, I want to briefly talk about some of the pictures. I brought some pictures that I took today. And again, that's iPhone. I like black and white, so I set everything to black and white and really harsh contrast. And so
that's another thing you can do with a photo walk is you have your own personal assignment in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I like is looking around for interesting, unusual looking things. I also like to include people in photos. So here's I think it's an entrance to some parking.
I like this
structure. And that's a person walking. We had nice sunshine, so harsh shadows, nothing wrong with that. If you look for interesting shapes, this is like weird dots on the ground. I have no idea how they got there, but they looked weird. So
I like it that you put a shadow over the dots, which made it much more interesting.
I want the human element in shots if it's possible, because that adds interest. That adds a lot of interest.
See, I just learned something, and I wasn't even on the photo walk. I love it.
Unusual things that you find. I mean, I have no idea who left those shoes out there in the pot, the cooking pot, but we found that on the side of a building somewhere. So, of course, I went over there and took a picture.
It looks like you're using the wide-angle lens on the camera, too.
I like doing that. I like doing that because I can get something big, large in the front of the picture, closer to the camera, which makes that stand out so much more than if you take another lens. Let me find one. Here's one of a car with a funny emergency exit sticker on the back, which I went really close up to with a wide angle lens, and then you get this amazing depth and the weirdness of the whole thing. I like weird stuff. That is my cup. Or a weird poster in the front. Here's a cow licking its nose in a street. So why not? It adds a funny element to it. So unusual things, big things in the front, wide angle works really well. Strong foregrounds. This is not the default camera. We've talked about this before. This is the Argentum app, which unfortunately I think is only on the iPhone. But
it's a good black and white focused app, though. That's kind of neat. Yeah.
comes with a free filter. I think you can buy additional filters, and this is the AA filter, which mimics a bit of the Ansel Adams style. So it cranks up the contrasts and tries to get the skies darkened down, and
it's the same,
and then look for weird things.
Same filter I've got on my Argentum right now.
which is I think it's the only one they should be selling anyway.
It's really good. Yeah,
that is just such a fun filter. So yeah, go out to a photo walk. Go find some the Easy Travel website and app that can. I think that you're probably going to link this in the show notes. It is a good starting point, and find a few like-minded people. And the photography is so much more fun if you have people around you who also love photography, because you'll be stopping in places and no one will mind. You can take your photos.
Yeah. We're all looking at the new iPhone and the photography capabilities of the new iPhone. I'll be getting mine on Friday. I think this is a good way to test it out, right? To go out there and take some pictures.
Oh yeah, totally. I would totally do this. I'll skip the 14 because I go every second year.
Me too.
So
me too. It's good. We're in sync.
Still on
so
the 13.
I'm on the 12. I'm going to the 14. You'll go to the 15. That way, we'll always have the new one to try out. Chris Marquardt, what is our photo assignment? Another excuse to get outside and start taking pictures.
We're still doing the evil assignment.
Evil. Oh, man, I had a big opportunity with Motley Crue. I could have taken so many pictures of evil. Oh, shucks. Remember it now. The idea is you take an image, doesn't have to be with a fancy camera, smartphone's fine, of illustrating the word or the idea evil. We won't tell you much more about what that means. That's up to you. And then if you find an image you like, upload it to Flickr.com. That's a free photo sharing site. We have a group there, the Tech Guy group. So if you're not already a member, join it and then submit it to the Tech Guy group. Make sure you put the tag TGEvil in there, and that way we'll know. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will know it's a submission. And I think we're about 2 weeks from our review, or do you want to do it next week? It's up to you.
No, two weeks. 2 weeks, maybe even 3. We'll figure this out.
Plenty of time to take an evil picture. Yes, but get on out there and do it. Chris Marquardt's at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. Lots of beautiful images there, coaching, workshops, books, and his great podcast. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Leo.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Very nice. Loves that. That's first, and easy is going to be great because
it even allows you to download those audio things for offline. They're of varying quality because they're all crowdsourced, but the ones I've listened to so far seemed really good. So
I doubt there's one for Petaluma, but let me look. Maybe I should record one. That's
no, I didn't find one. I actually looked. You'll find a few for San Francisco, and there's like 15,000 different for the entire planet, pretty much.
So we often, when we go to somewhere new, we'll hire a tour, or we go to tours by locals. But that's expensive. This sounds like when we were in Hawaii a couple of years ago. There's a company that puts these out, and you put them on your phone. But they're expensive. I might try these. That's great. Really cool.
And you can of course pre-listen to them and read what they wrote, so you get a good
check
idea
ahead of time.
What you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So yeah.
IZI.travel. I just bookmarked it.
Comes with a map. Comes with a map. Comes with a map that has numbers on them for each of the different stops and so on. It's a very
nice,
very interesting little service. I like this, and it's free. I think you can pay for the app to get rid of a couple of ads, but I think that's about it.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
You have a wonderful week.
You too. See you next week.
Thank you, sir. Take care. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 88 Ask Leo. Let's go to Huntington Beach, where Randy is on the line. Hello, Randy.
Hello there, Leo. I just got we talked a couple of weeks ago about a problem I had. I didn't have enough RAM for my laptop, so I traded it in, got one with 32 gigabytes of RAM rather than 16, because as we talked, we know that RAM is often soldered into the computers nowadays.
Yep.
So I'm trying to set up Windows 11 without a Microsoft account, and I was able to do it on the previous computer.
Yeah.
But at a it appears after 22H2, all the old tricks no longer work.
No. So the last trick was that you take the computer off the internet, set up a local account because you're not online. But with Windows 11 in the new version, what happens? It says, no, you need a Microsoft account. Sorry.
Yeah, I stall out on having to get a Wi-Fi password set up. I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah, just don't turn on Wi-Fi, disconnect the Ethernet. This was always the last resort. So Microsoft has for years been really working their way up to the idea that in order to install Windows, you have to associate it with an existing Microsoft account. And there are lots of reasons people don't want to do that. Chiefly privacy and tracking. Used to be for a long time you could do that, but it's I am told by our Windows experts, Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, that in the home version of Windows, there is no longer a workaround. Disconnecting from the internet doesn't work, and you've got to set up the Microsoft account. So their advice is to set up a dummy, bogus Microsoft account, one use only, and use that. There are some disadvantages. One of the reasons not to use a Microsoft account was so that your home directory would have a name of your choosing as opposed to the fragmented name that it comes up with based on your Microsoft account login.
Yep.
I guess we're just going to have to live with it. As far as I know, there is no workaround. Now,
I was hoping somebody was more brilliant than I am.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right that it's 22H2 that has changed this forever. But the chat room is giving me a couple of links. One from ghacks.net, one a YouTube thing. Now, this one's from May 2022, so that's not going to be that's not going to do it because they've changed this. But if I'll put the chat room link from Keith 512. Keith, is this subsequent to 22H2? I obviously can't watch that YouTube video you're posting. I hate YouTube videos for this exact reason. And everything nowadays, all the computer help and advice, all seems to be in a YouTube video that for the first 3 minutes is like and subscribe, hit the button, do the bell, hey, everybody. And I just put it in writing, would you? And I could follow along. It'd be a lot easier. A lot easier.
Exactly, a lot quicker.
Yeah, apparently, I'm going to say apparently. It's my understanding there's no workaround anymore. There was a workaround right up until 22H2, which has just come out. Microsoft, they don't want you to do that. They want to know who you are. And I find that quite offensive. It's one of many reasons I prefer not to use Windows. I use it. I have to, but only because I do this show. The minute I retire, all Windows machines turning into Linux boxes, and that's that. And I think that's probably the case for almost everybody. They use Windows because they have to. It's rare that they use Windows because they want to. Maybe if you're a gamer, something like that. But, it's, so make a dummy account. No big. You don't have to ever use it again. I think Microsoft would say, well, we do this because people keep forgetting their passwords. So if you use a Microsoft account, we can get you back into your Windows. We're tired of the phone calls. That's going to be their public statement. More privately, when they're at home at night and everybody's asleep and the lights are out, they think to themselves, and this way we can sell ads against your account. We know who you are. So that's my guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to disconnect from all of those giant companies.
It's reasonable.
I call them Gamma.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Google and Apple and Microsoft and Meta and Amazon, and I think the big
Gamma. I like it. I like it. Yeah. Used to be Fang, but now they've renamed to Meta, and Mang just doesn't have the same ring to it. So I like Gamma. I'm going to go with Gamma.
Yeah. I wonder if meta is short for metastatic or metastasis.
They are definitely metastasizing. They are spreading. They are cancer that is spreading. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll tell you what, we are getting a lot of links that people say, no, this will still work. So I'll put those at techguylabs.com and I'll let you go through them and at your leisure. And I will as well. But I remember Paul being fairly upset about this, that this is gone. This is no longer an option. And the advice he had was the advice I have. Make up an account and use that if you want to stay private. Hey, a pleasure talking to you. You're not really private anyway, Randy. You know better.
Yep, exactly.
They know exactly what you're up to at all times now.
They know when we are sleeping. They know when we're awake.
Yeah. It creeps up on you too, right? I mean, this has happened over the last 20 years. And at this point, if you are online in any form, if you have an electric bill, people know what you're up to. And the idea of hiding yourself from big business is just, I think it's a pipe dream, unfortunately. But that's the world we live in now. And you know what? It was inevitable. We're so interconnected. We're so dependent on one another. It's just, I don't know how you would avoid that. I really don't. Sorry, but you know, again, there seems to people think the other option, by the way, is get Windows Pro. And as far as I know, Windows Pro for $100 more does let you create a local account if you care that much. To Hatfield, PA, we go. Good friend Jerry on the line. Hi, Jerry.
Hello, Leo. Leo, I've got a situation here. I want to cut cut the cord. I currently have a Dish DVR receiver, and I have programs on it.
Yeah.
But if I kill my subscription, they kill my DVR.
Happy days are here again. You didn't think you owned that DVR or those recordings, did you? You didn't think. No, you think you own it.
How stupid of me.
You are not my friend, the customer. You are the product. When will you little people get that through your head? Yeah, so what they do with those, and this actually isn't Dish's idea. In fact, Dish for a long time fought the TV and motion picture industry. You know, they had the hopper, remember, to let you skip commercials. They tried for a long time to favor customers over big business, but they have failed ultimately. In order to do the DVR, they have to heavily encrypt the contents of that DVR. And as far as I know, TiVo does the same thing. It's impossible. You know, you've got your shows on that hard drive. There's a hard drive in there. You know your shows are on there.
Right.
There's a hard drive on there. You should be able to take it off that hard drive and watch them, except that they're so heavily encrypted, and the encryption key is held in the Dish box. So,
my question to you, question to you is, if I'm going to get rid of Dish, is there another device I can buy?
Yes.
So from my Dish HDMI into another recorder.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. There are several companies, HD Home Run is one. There are a number of companies that make DVRs that are not encrypted. So, but would it connect to your Dish? Yeah, because the Dish box is doing the tuning. The HDMI coming out of that is just normal HDMI. You might have to do it manually because I don't know if you're going to have the program guide, and it won't be able to control the Dish box tuning. So you might have to tune to the channel and record it.
Well, no. I can go to my Dish DVR to my hard drive and
play it out. Oh yeah, of course. That's the so-called analog hole. Yeah, I think you should be able to do that with a variety of devices. They have to support HDCP, the copy protection scheme. But I suspect that's possible. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's an interesting question because it would have to support the copy protection so Dish will not play those DVRs out that port unless everything along the chain is HDCP, has the HD copy protection on it. So what could you record to that has HDCP? That's an interesting question. This is a little trickier, and this is really what annoys me about copy protection. All we're doing is teaching you how to become a pirate, Jerry. So
it doesn't come out of the DVR protected.
It does.
TV.
No, it does. Trust me, because the TV is HDCP, the cable is HDCP, and everything has to be HDCP compliant. And so when it comes out, if you plug that DVR into something that can record at HDMI, it will query it, HDCP, right? And if it's not, it will say, nope, can't do it. Now, but that's the bad news. Here's the good news. There are about 1,000 Chinese companies that sell HDMI converters. They don't list them as stripping HDCP, but they do. We found a number of them by accident, buying them, that just strip them off. So get a cheap Chinese HDMI splitter on Amazon.
Okay.
And even though it won't say it strips out HDCP, it almost always does. And then you connect that to anything that'll take an HDC, a laptop, whatever, that will record over HDMI, and you're golden.
Now, if I go and get a replay or a recast, whatever they call it, I want one that has a remote control, RF remote, because I have 4 different locations.
Right. Who has RF remotes? Well, one other way you could do it, used to be anyway, you could get a Harmony or one of the...
Used to be.
Used to be. Yeah, they're gone. Used to be. Let me think. Because they had RF remotes. There were companies that would have RF remotes out there. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But that should be listed. So just take a look at the universal remotes and see how many, I'm sure there are universal remotes that are RF.
Mm-hmm. Is there a website like a GSM Arena where you can put your particular qualities that you want in, and it'll give you the equipment?
I wish. I don't know of one. That's one of the things I love about GSM Arena. You can find out what specs any Android device has. I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe somebody in the chat room.
Well, I should go to the AV forum on YouTube, but I might be looking for something that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, you might be. AVS forum would be a good place to ask.
Okay.
Jerry, I got to run. Thank you, my friend.
Goodbye.
Great to talk to you. Bye. Take care. But I should mention that is possibly the answer to our caller's question. You create your install with Rufus, which is a free ISO USB creation tool, and you put your Windows 11 22H2 on a Rufus. And when you do that with Rufus, they have some settings. That's what I should do is I just download it. Let's see if they still have those settings that you can turn off all of that. Rufus.ie. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here. I am the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, video, audio, AirPods, iPhones, Pixel phones, Samsung phones. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you want to talk high tech, now is the time. 8888 Ask Leo. Website, techguylabs.com. Oftentimes, even after the call is over, we put additional information there, thanks to the Team Tech Guy in our chat room at irc.twit.tv. And Team Tech Guy comes to the rescue again, suggesting other ways to get around the requirement that you set up your new Windows 11 version 22H2 with a local account. Apparently, I had forgotten this, Rufus lets you do that. So Rufus, which is a free tool you can download, you might already have it. It's the tool we always recommend to make USB boot disks or installers. So when you're going to make that Windows 11 22H2 installer, use Rufus to make it, and it gives you checkboxes to allow you to do a local account. They're bypassing something. So that is one way to do it. There's another way, which is wild, and I have not tried this, but you can use a banned email address as your Microsoft account. This comes from NeoWin. If you use the email address no@thankyou.com, Windows will say, oops, something went wrong on the next screen. You click next, and it lets you set up a local account. So there. So when asked for, I haven't tried this, when asked for a Microsoft account, try no@thankyou.com. Now, I have to think this is a cat and mouse game. Microsoft really, 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 really wants you to use a Microsoft account so they know who you are. You know, maybe it's to reduce piracy. I don't know. Maybe it actually would have that impact, wouldn't it? Maybe it's to keep an eye on what you're up to so they can sell you advertising. Probably. They're going to say, I'm sure, oh, and it's in case you forget your password. That way we can always, recover it for you. Okay, fine. But if you don't want any of that, it's getting harder and harder, and Microsoft's doing everything they can to prevent it. So I suspect any backdoor method you find will only work for a limited amount of time. Now, once it works, you're done, I think. I don't think Microsoft's going to come back and say, well, wait a minute, what's your account now? So try no@thankyou.com. Somebody's asking, does Apple do that? No. In fact, you do not have to. They ask you to use your Apple account to install Mac OS, but you don't have to. It may be just a matter of time before Apple does it too. I wouldn't be surprised. Linux, I can tell you right now, doesn't, because you don't have a Linux account. There ain't no such thing. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Let's get back to the phone. Chuck in Minneapolis. Hey, Chuck, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello. Hey, it seems like several months ago, I remember hearing.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said something about eliminating passwords.
Yes, the future, one hopes, is passwordless. It's not here yet. So let me remind everybody, nowadays you need to remember hundreds of passwords. Well, you can't do that unless you use the same password over and over. Bad idea. Bad idea in this day and age of breaches, and there are so many all the time. If you use a password on one site, that site gets cracked, then that password, they call it credential stuffing. Bad guys will try that password on every other possible site, and that's going to be a big security nightmare. So, in order to be safe in this modern age, you need to use unique, long, non-memorable passwords. Why? Memorable means easy to crack. If you can remember it, it's a bad password. But wait, Leo. Wait a minute. How am I supposed to remember it if I can't remember it? Well, you don't have to. That's why you use software called a password vault or a password manager. And if you're not using one, big risks out there. Please do me a favor. There are many password managers. There's the commercial big boys, LastPass, 1Password, RoboForm. They're fairly inexpensive. There are open source solutions like KeePass that's free. Bitwarden is free. Find one and use it. And let it generate long passwords, as long as the site will let you use. Because the longer the better. They'll generate truly random passwords. And when you look at them, you go, well, Leo was right. You can't memorize that. No, you can't. There is one password you'll have to remember. That's the master password that gives you access to all the others. Make that a good one. Make that a good one. But you can make that one something you can memorize. You need to memorize it or write it down, I guess, but keep it somewhere safe because that's the keys to the kingdom. So step one, use a password manager. We still need passwords. They're not gone yet. Step two, use two-factor authentication. And you know what that is because your bank probably requires it of you. When you log in, it says, what's your name? Fine. What's your password? Fine. And now we're going to send a code to your phone. Type that in. That's called second-factor authentication. On your most secure accounts, it's vital. It's truthfully not ideal to do it over the phone. It'd be better to use an authenticator app. But banks, they know their users are going to get confused. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just whatever it is, it's just a speed bump for bad guys. Even if they get your password or guess your password, having to get that text message is one extra thing. That's good. Now, I did say we won't have to use passwords someday. Someday. I don't think I'll still be around, but someday this nightmare will be over. It's a nightmare. It's terrible. It's bad for security. It's bad for users. Everybody hates it. There is a group called the Fido Alliance. that has proposed a new way of doing this. It's kind of related to your two-factor. It is colloquially called pass keys, not passwords, and it's roughly the same. You may have already experienced this. For instance, with Microsoft Windows, when you sign into a Microsoft account, you usually give it your Microsoft email, leo@outlook.com or whatever that is, and then it won't even ask for a password. It will say, okay, now go to the Microsoft Authenticator app on your phone and select a number, and the number will be on the screen. Select 20. So you do that, and you're in. Boy, that's a lot easier than a password, isn't it? That's very much like the new passkeys system. Turns out most of us have an authentication device that's very strong, very good in our pockets. It's our smartphone. Smartphones these days use biometrics, fingerprint or face recognition to unlock them. That's very, very strong authentication. And then you can put an app on there that will further identify you to another third party. So that's what passkeys, what the Fido Alliance is trying to do. Microsoft, Google, and Apple have all signed on to this. Almost all the password managers, this is why I mentioned password managers, will support this too. So if you're already using a password manager, that'll be the easiest way to move to this new passkeys system. It's not here yet, but in the next year or two, you may start seeing sites say, oh, scan this QR code to get in. And you scan it on your phone will launch. It'll say, are you, and do Face ID or Touch ID, and then say, oh, yeah, it's Leo, and let him in. It'll be a collaboration. There's all sorts of complicated scenarios. I won't go into those in detail. I hope this rollout goes smoothly, that people can kind of gradually move into it. But the first step, most important step, is a step you take today for sites today, which is to use a password manager. Use a password manager. Turn on two-factor authentication on every site you can. Facebook, they do it. Yeah. Amazon, they do it. Yeah. Your bank, yes. Every site that you can, turn on two-factor. By the way, you'll only have to do that two-factor once, the first time you log in on any given browser. And then as passkeys become more popular with websites, because the website has to modify to do this, those password managers will start to roll passkeys into your life bit by bit. I go a step farther. I don't use fingerprint or Touch ID. I use a little device, a USB device on my keychain that only I have access to, and that's how I authenticate. I give them my name, my email, my password, and then they say, okay, plug in your security key. I plug it in, tap a button, and it says, oh, yeah, that's Leo. So in order for people to steal my accounts, they'd need this physical key. And, well, if they've got it, then something happened to me, and I don't care anymore. 8888-ASK-LEO, that's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Website techguylabs.com. More calls right after this. Rodney, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you feeling?
I'm fine, thank you. It took us a little longer than I expected, about 10 days, but we're clear. I think we had a cross-infection going there.
Yeah, and so did Sherry get it or something else?
No, she got it about 3 days later, and we looked at each other and talked about separately isolating more and said, forget it.
Forget it.
Let's share.
Yeah, I said, Lisa, kiss me, baby. Give me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me the coronavirus. I don't care.
The Black Death.
The Black Death.
How are you?
We're fine. I didn't get it.
Thing?
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get it from Nikki Sixx either. So that's good. He spit on me, but I didn't get it. So I think I'm okay.
Woo!
I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I was really like cringing when I got home, and I thought, oh, I have to call a few people.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You didn't know you had it.
No, I didn't. If I did, I would be a real dastardly person, wouldn't I?
Yeah, but you're not. But you're not, and you didn't. So I'm not worried about that. Not one cotton picking bit.
You know, I enjoyed your little conversation about passwords just before we got on here together, because I got back from the Arctic, and for some reason I've been logged out of everything. Maybe location services said, "Oh, he's out of the country. Let's dump
that's
it."
not unusual.
But that was a new one. Oh, okay,
and that's good. That's what you want.
Well, it's good, except then LastPass wouldn't let me back in. It kept saying, "Oh, you can't go online. You can only use your local." Something or
another.
Wow. Wait, what? Yeah.
Oh, that's
so I'm
not
still
good.
Trying to figure out why, because the password's correct, and they're not pushing the password back. They're just saying, "Oh, yeah, we can't get you online."
Oh,
so,
dear.
So I may have to just manually copy everything down and go to another password vault or something.
It still thinks you're in the... So you brought that laptop to the Arctic, right?
I did. Yeah.
So that's what it is. Yeah, well, it thinks you're there, but it should... reset at some point. How could you reset that? Boy, I wish I had someone to call like the tech guy, because this is clearly something for the tech guy.
Well, I haven't really jumped online to do a ton of research yet either. I'm sure somebody else has gone through this.
I think there's got to be a way. That's really interesting. To reset that. Because it should know where you are right now. You've rebooted the machine and everything, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that seems like LastPass is maybe that is a little annoying.
But I have an idea for the whole password thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, what?
So I think we should do it by DNA, and we just have a little patch on the computer that we lick.
We're practically there.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're...
not very sanitary.
No, I think that's not far off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that's kind of that's the biometrics, right? That's what you're doing.
Well, yeah, it's just a cruder version of it, as you might expect from a person like me.
I just want to lick my computer. I love it so.
And also, your talk with Sam today, I didn't know about the Equinox. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking car.
It is very nice, yeah. We saw an ad for it on the football game on Thursday, and Lisa said, oh, tell me about that. Tell me all about that.
It's a Chevy.
It's a Chevy, baby. But I didn't know what platform it was on, so it is a new platform, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk in about 12 minutes.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. I just want to hear the rest of this song. Leo Laporte, the jazzy tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536. I didn't know this. Scooter X passed along this article from CNET. Tomorrow, of course, we're getting iOS 16 and all the people who use iPhones. And what I didn't know was that passkeys, the new feature that I was just talking about, will arrive on Monday for iPhone users. Google's also going to do this. Passkeys will be built in. Browsers will start having to support passkeys. There is one more step, though, and this, unfortunately, is the one that's going to be the laggard. Websites also have to start supporting passkeys. The places you're logging into have to support passkeys. So instead of a bunch of keystrokes, the way we do it now, you'll be able to do a biometric check on your device. Your phone will say, yeah, that's Leo, and log you in. It's going to be an improvement. No more passwords. Should be more secure as well. People have raised issues. Well, what happens if your phone is lost or stolen? And of course, there are backup solutions behind that. So it's in there now. It's in iOS 16, but I don't think you'll be using it. So what'll happen is you'll go at some point, someday in the future, you'll go to a website, or it could be in an app too, anything where you have to log in with a password, and it will say, let's set up a passkey, or sign in with passkey. I look forward to that day. Not here yet. Now that iOS 16 supports it, maybe it'll come sooner than later. There's no point in doing it now, right? But once phones start to support it widely, then. So it'll say, okay, log in with your passkey or sign up with your passkey. And then you'll use an authentication technique, depending on the device and your choice. Fingerprint or face will be the most common ones. And you'll be in. And the next time you go in to that website, there'll be a button that says sign in with passkey. You'll click it, your phone will buzz, you look at it or you touch it, and you're in. So that'll be nice. That'll be nice. There are lots of questions, like what happens if you lose your phone? Lots of questions that will, as always, with any new technology, the devil is in the details. But I suspect, so I did not realize it was going to come out. So it's going to come out in iOS 16 tomorrow, Mac OS Ventura, the new Mac OS next month. That means, some really hipster websites or maybe some Apple-focused websites might start turning that on. Google says passkey support will arrive in Android at the end of the year for developer testing. Microsoft's going to add passkey support to Windows in the next couple of months. So as that happens, it becomes more and more likely that some website somewhere, we hope, will offer you that choice. Sign in or sign up with passkey. I just remember this. Remember, you heard it here, folks. And when that day comes, you could tell your kids, I was there when passwords disappeared. Do you think they'll disappear? There's always going to be some dumb site, right? They're not going away. That's why get the password vault now. Get ready now. One of our chatters, user 2632, says Apple Pay took several years to become pervasive. It did, didn't it? In fact, it was COVID that kind of jump-started it. If it weren't for COVID, I don't know if we'd all be using touch to pay as much as we are. It came out a couple of years ago, remember? And at the same time, when was this? 2018? 2017? I can't remember. Laws changed and credit card policies changed, and merchants were required to update their credit card. Remember? I'm old enough to remember going to Macy's with my Macy's charge card, and in fact, that's how I bought my first Macintosh in 1984. You give them the charge card, and they had a metal thing. Do you remember this? That they put the pay slip in. First, they put the card in the little slot. Then they put the little receipt in there. It had carbon paper, and then they'd go chung chung. They'd run a handle across it, chung chung, and it would imprint the credit card number on the receipt, one of which they'd send to the bank, one of which they give to you. That's how it worked for a long time. Boy, you couldn't get more analog than that. And I guess they'd look at the back of the card and see if it matched your signature. Ooh, there's high security, right? We got a little more sophisticated with electronic systems, but a couple of years ago, it was required that all merchants start using more up-to-date systems. That's when touch-to-pay became possible. So that's kind of the phase we're at now with passkeys. It's possible, but I can remember, saying, can I use my phone to pay for this? And getting the blankest looks ever. No, I see you have that kind of thing. Do you see where it says, right? Yeah, what do you do? I said, well, watch. And I pressed the button on the phone and tapped it against the screen. And the cashier said, what? It worked. I remember this vividly. It worked. Yes, it worked. And someday everybody will be doing this. Well, I don't know about you, but I pay with my Apple Watch and my iPhone now far more often than I hand over cash. Far more often, right? That is, and I think COVID has probably been the driving force there. That has become the predominant way that we pay for stuff. So I would say, we will someday, you'll be able to dandle your grandkids on your knee and say, you ought to, in the early days of the internet, we had to remember passwords before we get anywhere. What? Grandpa? Tell me more. Oh, yeah, it was horrible. Someday, and we're at that very beginning stage, we've gone past the credit card slider stage. We're now at the stage where people are starting to get the thing that you could tap, but now they've got to start using it. I would bet before the end of the year, you and I will run across one site, one app that'll say, hey, would you like to use passkeys to sign up? I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Coming up, we're going to talk space. Rod Pyle, man from the future, next. Did you notice that I had to talk that whole segment? Do you know why I had to talk that whole segment? No callers. This happens when football starts every year. KFI goes to football, and then I lose all my callers. Good Lord.
Wow.
Thank God you're here. I only have one more break to fill. Jeez Louise. I mean, I didn't
think you ever had no callers.
I don't remember this. I don't remember ever going a whole segment without being able to pick up a phone call. Even football last year.
Well, you covered very well.
Jeez Louise. Oh my God.
Well, you got to do the George Nuri thing and have the wild card line so people can call in about any topic, right?
All our lines are wild card lines. That doesn't help.
Well, there's that, I suppose.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
call in with football questions. Go ahead.
Is it a football day?
It is. It's the beginning of a football.
Isn't it sad that I don't even know?
Yeah, my Niners just lost to the crap Chicago Bears. I'm not happy.
Aww.
It's all right. Your Rams lost the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, who can care?
Who can care?
Who could care?
It's okay. I don't need no stinking calls. I'm going to do the rest of the year without any calls. How about that?
It's so, I feel so pressured when I go to a party anymore because people want to talk about either football or sports, and I
that's why
know
I picked up sports,
which ball is which
so
sport. You know, it's like
that's
big
exactly
orange one?
That's exactly why I learned how to BS.
And then after that, they want to talk about finance, and it's like, look, I'm an independent author. Okay, don't ask me about finance.
It's a really funny scene towards the end of Better Call Saul where he's got a hobnob with a security guard, and all the security guard wants to talk about is his college team, his favorite college team.
Ugh.
And Saul knows nothing about college football. So at first he's just vamping, and it's very funny. But eventually he has to start reading the sports pages and come up with some things to say.
Yeah.
All right.
One reason I never joined the Rotary, I guess.
It's funny. In real life, I don't know if I could fill 15 minutes. But on the radio, I know how to do it.
Yeah? Well, you've had a little practice.
What is that supposed to mean?
Only 30 hours a week for the last 30 years, right? By the way, I wanted to ask
Usually we have callers.
I wanted to ask you after I was up there last time, I had never, that chair that you use on the afternoon show, the big show?
Yeah.
When you're watching online, you don't see the big Klingon metal bowl with the rivets in the back. Where did that come from?
Restoration Hardware. We have a ton of it. It's aircraft aluminum. And when we've built the big studio, the old brick house, I bought a bunch of stuff from Restoration Hardware to dress the set. And we got two of those, I call them Dr. Evil chairs. And unless I turn around, you don't realize that whole thing, it's a, kind of a 60s wing chair, but it's made with aircraft aluminum.
It looks like
awesome.
A Klingon eye patch on the back.
I know, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really something.
Well, we wanted it to be, we wanted the brick house to be kind of a little steampunk, so that's kind of our steampunky kind of thing.
Well, you need a couple of ray cannons in the background somewhere.
We had a, what do they call those arches? We had the, from that TV show,
yeah, that one, sure.
The time travel TV show,
Time Tunnel?
Not Time Tunnel. They were like Time Tunnel, but it was later. Stargates. We had Stargates.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of Stargates. You never saw that studio? That was an amazing studio.
No, I never did.
Oh, my God. It was
sounds
incredible.
like something.
It's my finest hour. Here we go.
Oh.
It's time to talk space with our very own spaceman, Rod Pyle, the author of Space 2.0, Amazing Stories of the Space Age, First on the Moon. He's editor-in-chief of the Ad Astra magazine, the official publication of the National Space Society at space.nss.org. And he's back on his home planet. Welcome home, Rod. It's good to see you.
Greetings, Earthling. How are you?
I am well. There's a lot to talk about. First of all, well, no, you choose. I'll let you choose because I hijack your segment every time. I'm sorry.
No.
What do you want to talk about?
I thought the coolest thing I saw was, and this is a story by our friend Tarek over at space.com. SpaceX launching yesterday. They used a Falcon 9 booster for the 14th time, which is a record.
Same booster has been used 14 times.
Same booster.
Wow.
And they were only rated for 10. So that's, given that we're in a culture of 50 years of using them once, that's pretty cool. 41st flight of the year for SpaceX, which is more than, I think, possibly any country. I don't know if China's got that many, but it's just one company, right?
That's amazing.
But the cool thing is, so they launched another 34 Starlink satellites. That's not news. That adds to the 3,300 they have floating
in
around
those
up there.
amazing chains that go across the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they did a ride share with this company called Blue Walker 3. Have you heard of this?
Wait a minute. The Blue Walker 3 rode along?
Yeah.
To do what?
You'd expect that to be a dedicated launch because it's a 3,300
That's
pound
a lot
satellite.
of satellites, yeah.
So this is a big antenna, about 700 square feet. And the idea is, you may have already talked about this, but I hadn't.
No, I haven't.
It's a prototype communication satellite that will allow, much like what SpaceX is trying to do, but with more bandwidth, will allow existing cell phones to work via satellite directly. So
this
that's
is what
why it's
Apple
gotta be
announced.
so large.
The new iPhone is going to do emergency satellite communications. They're doing a deal with Globalstar. In fact, it's a very lucrative deal for Globalstar. Apple said, we'll pay for 95% of the launches that you have to do. But it's weird because the phone, because the satellites are moving, has a thing that says aim to the left, keep aiming, keep aiming. And they said it could, if the satellite is overhead and you're in an open, empty field, the communications are fairly quick, not enough to do a phone call, but you can talk back and forth within a few seconds. But if it's a leafy or cloudy or you don't have a good view of the sky, it could take minutes to hours to transmit.
Right. Well, and that's what was going on with my GPS when I was up in the Arctic with GPS texting. It could take a few minutes or it could take a couple of hours.
Very
and we
similar.
saw how the sat phone worked out. If there's not one overhead for more than 3 minutes, you're done. This would provide broadband because they're going to launch, their plan is to launch 300 of these big things. And that's very cool. They partner with 25 cell providers.
Because Elon is doing this with Starlink and T-Mobile. Is this different?
Well, this, as I understood it, and most of this news I got from you last weekend, but my understanding was that was going to be
it's the blind
only,
leading the
wasn't it?
Blind, isn't it? No. I think T-Mobile implied that it'll be broadband, but it won't be super high. I don't know.
Well, it kind of makes sense, though, because if you have thousands and thousands of little satellite antennas or a few hundred very large ones, either could do the same thing. This company's called AST Space Mobile. So I don't know much about them yet, but it's the heaviest payload a Falcon 9 has launched yet, at least separately. And it's the 25 cell providers are involved, and 10 will be involved with the test once that thing gets up across 6 continents. Sorry, 100 are planned, not 300.
Are we worried about space filling up with this stuff?
Well, yes, we are. So there's two things there. One is the astronomers are just losing it because they're saying, look, we've already got all these Starlink satellites up there that are making little white dots drifting across our optical observations, and some issues with radio astronomy, but mostly optical. And so SpaceX, as you know, tried to find ways to better camouflage the satellites so they weren't such a hindrance to astronomy, but it's still a conversation. These big things, which may be visible to the naked eye because they're so large, and will surely will be, are going to be a much bigger hindrance. So unless there's some kind of deep matte black, I don't know, and even if they are, they're going to block out things. So it may not create a big white splotch on your astrophotography or your observation, but it will drift across what you're trying to observe. It's intermittent. You can design software to take care of that. I'm kind of surprised SpaceX hasn't engaged with that yet already.
It seems like
but
we
it's
have
a problem.
this is so frustrating because we have all this overlapping capability because capitalism. Well, I'm not going to share my revenue with you, Globalstar.
Right.
So everybody
Just
has
do
to
it with one
launch.
system.
Amazon and Starlink and Globalstar and this other company. They're all launching their own satellites because they don't want to share.
Well, and wait till China gets in on the act. So that's going to double it at least. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of stuff up there. So there's a lot. You remember the Kessler syndrome, right? From Gravity, the whole thing about, well, when there's a certain amount of mass and material in low Earth orbit, they're going to start banging into each other and breaking up, and then those pieces bang into others, and you get this cascading effect, and then you virtually cannot launch through low Earth orbit.
Well, here's the good news. We don't have to worry about global warming because you won't be able to see the sun anymore.
Well, that's true. There have been conversations about that too, but they're a little different. They're about launching sun shields out to
but the Kessler, the end game on the Kessler syndrome is you have so many small particles in the atmosphere that sunlight can't get through, and now we got heat death. So
well, we're a long way from that, but it is it does become a hazard to navigation. So the Air Force Space Force now tracks as much of that stuff as they can. Certainly anything bigger than a golf ball, but there's hundreds of thousands of these things, and as we've discussed before, even something the size there was a paint flake the size of a dime that took out the front pane of one of the space shuttle's windshields. So these things have a lot of energy if they're coming at you from the right direction.
Wait a minute! It took out the windshield.
Just the front pane.
Did astronauts go flying out the front window?
No, because there's 5 layers of quartz glass.
Oh, okay.
So they were smart when they designed the shuttle and every other spacecraft since. But it did crack that window, which was a sobering moment. And if you ever got a chance to look at the heat shields on the bottom of the heat tiles on the bottom of the shuttles, you can see all these dings and nicks where various little bits of space flotsam and jetsam ran into them. So it is a problem. There's work slowly being done on it. There's a number of companies in a few countries that are trying to figure out how to either scoop this stuff up or force it down to lower orbits.
The FCC has proposed a 5-year rule for old satellites.
Right.
You have to collect your old satellites.
Yeah, so the nation that launches it owns it. So even if it's a private company, it's under the control of the United States, for instance, for Starlink. And so you either have to deorbit these things when they age out, or send them out to what's called a graveyard orbit, way out beyond low Earth orbit. And that's something they're looking at again because we think some of those are too low to really be effective. Or you rehab the satellite, and there's a few companies working on that too. If you set it up properly, so there's a grapple on it and a port to either recharge it or put new fuel in it or whatever it is it needs, you can go up and service these things with a space tug. But there's just a few tests have been done. So that's all very, very young. But before we get too far, we need to talk about SLS.
Oh, okay.
What's happening with SLS?
Artemis.
Because we're all waiting.
Have they decided yet to bring it home, or are they going to leave it on the pad?
So they managed over the weekend to replace those seals. So these are the quick this is a quick disconnect pipe for hydrogen fueling. It's an 8-inch fuel line, so it's not a small thing. And so they were wringing their hands over, do we roll it back to the VAB? Well, that's bad for the rocket to roll it back and forth, and then we can't test it with cryogenic temperatures because there's no cryogenic fuel at the VAB. It's all at the pad. So they kept it at the pad. They built a little structure around it for weather protection, replaced that seal. So they're going to do a fueling test, they hope, on the 17th, which is one of the big advantages of keeping it at the pad, and then we hopefully get a launch either on the 23rd or 27th of September.
Perfect. I'm seeing Roger Waters on the 23rd. It'd be nice to have a rocket launch at the same time. Rod Pyle, Space 2.0. Thank you, Rod.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Is that a pig? No, it's the Artemis.
Oh. So on the chat room, somebody wrote, what's the deal with the hydrogen leak? And the problem is hydrogen
It's a tiny
really
molecule.
Small. Yeah, so it leaks out of anything.
It's the tiniest molecule.
Only NASA and I think China have mastered working with it, at least to any extent. But that's why Musk and Bezos are using methane, because it's a little easier to contain and it's almost as high energy. But hydrogen is kind of the ultimate chemical.
There's also kerosene, right?
So
you can use kerosene.
Yeah, and kerosene is really easy to seal up, but it's got a lot less energy in it than hydrogen does. So we like hydrogen for that reason. But, so the SLS is suffering from the same thing the shuttle did, which is all this really advanced engineering that's great, and we really admire it, and it's awesome, and it's high energy and all that, but it's really hard to do. And so you got to kind of give a nod to Elon with the Falcon 9 and going back to von Braun with the Saturn V and earlier rockets. Kerosene is not as effective, but it works.
Didn't Bezos use kerosene? Did they use kerosene?
I think they use kerosene on the New Shepard, but the new engines are using methane. Okay. And they like methane also because it burns cleaner than kerosene.
Right, so it's better for the environment.
Recycle those things. Well, it's better for the rocket engines, right? Because they don't get all sooted up. So between uses, you don't have to go in there and scrape off all the carbon or something like you used to have to do with spark plugs all the time.
It feels like we're in the space age, and yet the space age is still kind of the Stone Age in many respects.
It does, and until we get off chemical propulsion, it's going to be. Yeah. So there's a lot of people working on nuclear again, and we had a really good run of nuclear
what could possibly
rocket
go
tests
wrong?
Back in the 60s. Well, but, they have gotten to the point now, first of all, they're moving from the really ugly stuff like plutonium to low-enriched uranium, which is a little safer. But also, they've gotten good at casking this stuff so that if it does have a launch accident, even if it goes in the ocean, it's fairly safe. Now, how you do that with a bigger nuclear engine without making it very, very heavy, I'm not sure.
Just build the darn space elevator and get it over with.
Well, now there's a cool topic we should talk about someday.
All right, maybe next week.
Friends with the space elevator people, and they just love talking about, it's going to happen tomorrow. And you're kind of going,
well, solve this whole problem. Because the hard part about space is getting out of the Earth's gravity well. You get out of the gravity well, things happen.
Well, and again, the moon with all that water ice up there, if you even with chemical propulsion, at least up there you can make your own fuel, right? So that's a big help.
Right.
But yeah.
Mr. Rod, I'm glad you're feeling better. Give my regards to
Thank
Sherry.
you.
Glad she's feeling better.
Thank you. Regards to Lisa as well. And what are you doing for the next 15 minutes?
Oh, I got calls now.
Okay.
People took pity on me. So we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome.
I got 2
Thank
calls.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right. Bye. Thank you for letting me be your tech guy again. Leo Laporte, your personal tech guy here. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. She does all the musical interludes here with her little band. They're very good. They're probably the best cover band in existence, I think. Thanks also to Kim Schaffer, the phone angel. She's the one who answers the phones, gets you all tidied up for your appearance on national radio. Thanks most of all for you for listening and for calling. Couldn't do it without you. Time for a couple more calls before we wrap things up for the weekend. Paul is on the line from Rialto, California. Hi, Paul.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I got to test your memory. Do you remember about 2005 or 6 at UCLA at the camera shop? You had a live show there?
Oh, yeah. That was fun. I did that for KFI, our mothership. That was a lot of fun. Were you at that event?
Oh, I was there shaking your hand at the end, and you were getting in the car, the classic car, 60-something Mustang or whatever it was.
How fun. That was a long time ago, but boy, I had a great time doing that. In radio for years, especially as you're starting out, you do a lot of, they call them remotes. You'd go, I remember going to the carpet store. And it was always the worst because you'd be sitting there trying to do a show, trying to get people to come out. And I always hated doing it. That was the last one I ever did. And I have to say, I didn't hate that. First of all, it was at a great camera store. Now, I think now gone, as I remember. But so many people showed up, and I was so glad. It was so much fun. So you left me with a good taste in my mouth about doing remotes. So thank you.
I was introducing myself as look for Morris the Cat in the Hat because I was wearing my hat.
I remember you. Yeah. Wow. That is, what is that, 17 years ago? Holy cow.
Yeah, I got to do the math, but yeah, it was quite a while. It was a year I lost my father, and I had moved from my native Encino, where I lived blocks away from the Jackson's family house, and Sonny and Cher's original house, and all the little names like Stanley Field and Dick Van Dyke.
Wow. So did you just come by to say hi, or were you just walking by at the time?
No, I lived about 10 miles from there.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm glad you came over. Yeah.
I went to school down the street there, UCLA's elementary school, and one of my classmates was Adam Nimoy, because his father was.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's just a few names I can drop there, but... Anyway,
I wish I could remember the name of the camera store. You don't remember that offhand, do you?
I should, because you know why? The owner's brother worked there, and he lived next door to me in Encino. Small world.
I wish I could remember. It was one of the great L.A. camera stores, if not the great L.A. camera store. And I seem to remember many years later, because most camera stores are gone now.
Is it possibly called Harriet's Camera? I think that was in L.A. downtown.
I don't remember.
But I'll look it up. I'll probably figure out one.
You know who would remember, because she's still at KFI, our great boss, Robin Bertolucci, God bless her, still there, and it was she who set that up, I believe. That was a lot of fun. Those were the days. I am glad I don't have to do carpet stores anymore.
Well, I was hoping to see you do a live one again one of these days.
Maybe once COVID's over. That's my story.
and bring your friend Mr. Waz.
I will.
I will. Know him a little. I got to him a little bit up there at San Jose State.
Waz is awesome. Oh yeah, he taught at San Jose State. Or were you there when he was a student?
I was there from '81 up. So
yeah. So he was by then. I think fully graduated.
But I remember him being affiliated with Berkeley, and he came from my old neighborhood, the Valley down here.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that until
he's a great, generous, friendly fella. If there's anything wrong with Steve Wozniak, one of the founders of Apple, it's that he's too generous. He's not good at saying
no big deal.
Yeah, he's not good at saying no. But he married a friend of ours, Janet, who has proven to be an excellent bodyguard and protector, and says no for him. And unfortunately, she says no to me, even though I know her well and I know Waz well. Every time we say, come on, get Waz on the radio show, she says, he's too busy, Leo. You know that. You know that. I think it might be Sammy's. I think you might be right. I don't know. But I don't want to name names because in case they're not out of business. I don't want to say anything. Anyway, Paul, it's nice to meet you again 17 years later. Let's talk again before 17 years go by. How about that? Phil, Stevenson Ranch, California. Last call of the day. Hi, Phil.
Hey, a couple of weeks ago, I called and I had a media server that died, and you suggested Plex.
Oh yeah,
I got to tell you, it's amazing.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, the device that you gave us was really, really good. The server. I've got a Synology where all my media is on it, and I can play it everywhere and anywhere, and it's just one of the best things I ever purchased.
Ah, hallelujah! Yeah, I have a lifetime membership. It wasn't very expensive back then, but I think it's an inexpensive monthly or yearly subscription.
It's good. It works. Unfortunately, the DVDs are like low res and stuff like that.
Yeah, isn't that funny now? We used to think that was the ultimate format, didn't we?
Yeah, they were so cool back then, but, time goes on and everything,
Well, we had that caller earlier who has all these recordings on his dish, and I don't want to say anything, but almost certainly all those shows are streaming in high def or UHD now.
Yeah.
You don't really need to record anything anymore. It's all there, And
I know, get yourself a subscription to something, and you can stream it in 4K. Or,
do you do the Plex? Because Plex has its own streaming stuff. Have you tried some of that stuff as well?
No, I haven't gotten into that yet. That's.
I haven't either, but they've been adding movies and they have live channels and stuff. It's not yet a replacement for your cable subscription or YouTube TV or Sling, but I think they're moving in that direction.
YouTube TV right now.
Yeah, me too. Very happy with it.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy with it, and more channels than my cable system has in Southern California.
Isn't that amazing? Well, I'm so I recommend things all day. And I often wonder, and of course, my big fear is when somebody calls in and says, you recommended Plex to me. And then I go, okay. And then what happened? So I'm very glad, Phil. It was a good recommendation. I think you're right. I think everybody agrees Plex is kind of an amazing thing. Plex.tv. It's probably the best media server out there right now. So I'm glad you like it.
I highly recommend it. And I just wanted to make a note that I've been watching you since the old Tech TV and stuff like that.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
And I always get you on the internet and watch the whole show and see the background and everything else.
Oh, well, I'll wave at you. And when you watch the show, when you download this show, you'll see me. Hi there, Phil. I'm waving at you now. Thank you, Phil.
Right.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
a lot. Bye.
Yeah, it's nice to put it on a network-attached storage like a Synology, not only because it's easy to install, but you have a lot of storage. Abdul in our chat room says he has 20 terabytes of content on his Plex server. That's more movies than probably you'd ever watch. For the real collector out there, it's kind of, it's fun. Now you don't have to pay anybody if you want to watch a movie. I have to say, though, the world has really changed. The idea of having your own content or owning DVDs, pretty much out the window now. I had a good friend many, many years ago who recorded every episode of Cheers. He had a closet full of VHS tapes. And I think of him now and I think, boy, that's a shame you spent all that energy because you can watch it on Netflix anytime you want, all the episodes in high def. All right. That's what we do on this show. We cover our changing world, and it is changing a lot. I'm so glad you stopped by again. I hope you'll come by next time. Remember, the website, techguylabs.com, has all the information from this show and more. This is episode 1926, techguylabs.com, free, no charge. And I do podcasts all week long. You'll find more there as well. techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.